How is your fundraiser going this year? If it's anything less than amazing, it's time to talk to Shawn Murphy at FanPledge. No product to sell, nothing to deliver, and guaranteed results. Raise at least 10% more than your current donation based fundraiser, or it's free. Fun, fast, proven. Call Shawn at 903-948-7348. FanPledge. The champions are already on board. Are you? Band Yap is proudly sponsored by Troubadour Consultants. When it comes to planning group travel for your fine arts program, look no further than Troubadour Consultants. Whether you're organizing a major out of state trip or need top notch accommodations for the state marching contest, John Mize and his team are ready to create a custom travel experience that meets your band's unique needs. As a family owned, band director run company, Troubadour understands exactly what it takes to make your trip stress free and seamless. Plus, when you book a trip with Troubadour, they will sponsor a $500 college scholarship for a student in your band. Directors who book will also receive a free Mollard baton as a special thank you. Visit troubadourconsultants.com today to start planning your next trip with the experts who truly get it.
And his logic with me as an 8th grade boy was, Zach, are there girls in football? And I said, no, sir. And he said, are there girls in band? And I said, yes, sir. And he just put his hands up in the air, looked me dead in the eye, and walked out. And I think that that had some influence on my life.
Hello and welcome back to Band Yap. My name is Alexa Sanchez.
And I'm Jose Sanchez.
And today we have the king of the white monster here. We have Zach Santos. Hi, Zach.
Yo, what's up?
Are you the king of the white monster?
I try to be. To be, for sure.
He embodies it.
Yeah. Can you actually tell us about your white monster journey?
Honestly, it probably started with people that I looked up to at Blue Devils. Most of the techs, like that was just their drink of choice. Like Peter Beckhart, Zach Stillwell, James Gow. Those guys are still active in the activity. Guys I looked up to a lot and learned a lot from. Brandon Wickham. And they would all just like have white monsters at rehearsal. Maybe not all of them. I can't remember 100%, but I saw them and I was like, that's awesome. And then I tried it and I heard it on another episode of the pod, and someone was trying to describe the flavor like there is no, like it tastes like White Monster. There is not another flavor like it, but it's really good.
Is that like the flavor blue?
Yes.
Like blue is just blue.
Yes. Yep.
It's like Gatorade.
There is no other flavor for that. I mean, like, because the other ones are like fruit punch or mango or whatever, and then White Monster is just White Monster. Like it is its own thing.
It transcends explanation.
Yes. But try it. You guys should try it. It's fantastic. Check it out.
I mean, it fuels our marching season.
We have a box of it in our pantry.
Yeah, I think that's left over from marching season. It's because like we had gone to Sam's.
Yeah, I think you know where I actually think it's from? I bought a case of White Monster that I took to the hospital when Joel was born, and I put it in a bag for you. And I think that's what that is from.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
That's like so thoughtful.
Yeah. It was just like, I mean, I took that picture like getting to the Alamo Dome and I was like, here's my white monster for the day.
Yeah.
I would like my last maybe 3 years at Vista. Like that's how I would start. Well, I guess 2 years when I was in the marching band. That's how I would start marching rehearsal. Like I'd put the mic up to the can and just. It's like, all right, there we go. It's time to begin. And that's how we would start rehearsal.
Lock in.
It became a hype, but I try to limit it to marching season, I should say. Right now, I'm on the Alani kick. I love the cherry slush flavor, but I get the minis, so I feel a little bit better about it. But they're also delicious.
I still haven't tried the sherbet.
Sherbet.
Sherbet. I'm pretty sure that's correct. It's not sherbet.
Sherbet.
Sure.
That's sherbet.
I don't know.
I had a Alani yesterday.
I have a confession. I had a monster that wasn't a white monster.
Sacrilegious.
I know. Surprisingly, I went to my parents' house. I talked about this when we talked to Kat. They always have Alani in the fridge. I went to the fridge. There was no Alani, but there were two different flavors of monster. They were both sugar-free like the white one, but they were blue Hawaiian and guava. And I had the blue Hawaiian one. And they belong to my dad.
Huh.
My dad is drinking Monster. Retired dad.
The blue Hawaiian is flat, right? Like there's no carbonation? It's one of like the juice ones.
I don't know.
I can't do that.
I think it was
I'm not a fan of
carbonated.
those.
I don't
Yeah.
Okay.
know. I
Like,
could be wrong.
it's like drinking water from a can. Have you ever had one of those?
Yeah, you do that
Yes,
sometimes.
not a fan of that. Or the boxed water. Like
Yeah,
just
that is
No,
not my
just
boxed water
jam.
water.
is
Yeah.
not okay. But you drink liquid death, and that is
No, 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 no. That's carbonated.
that's carbonated.
That is carbonated. That is a different situation.
But flat water in a
Flat
can,
water in a can. That is like a plain thing.
still water in a can. I guess you should say.
Ick.
Yeah, that is definitely an ick. Zach, do you have an ick?
Do I have an ick? I hope not.
You don't have an ick? You don't have anything that goes
Like feet. Or
feet. Ooh, feet. Feet
still
is,
water in a can.
Still water in a can is an ick for me.
Bent leg marching. No, I'm just kidding. That's a hot take. hot take right there. But truly, that is a big ick of mine.
You know what?
I was gonna say Crocs, but
yeah,
I wear
Crocs.
I
Crocs
love
all the time.
Crocs.
I do
I
too.
can't do the Croc
Some
thing.
people they're very anti-Croc.
I am an anti-Croc person. Everyone
I
in the
have
house,
fuzzy
including the
Crocs. I
dogs.
have regular Crocs. No, Crocs are awesome. They're fantastic.
I like my
I
Crocs.
can't get behind it.
They
Well,
make my feet feel better. I
Would
don't
you
know.
you know about the what is that movie? Idiocracy? Yeah,
Idiocracy.
I have a
That's
hard
hard
time
word.
with it. Yeah.
Vulnerable. Relevant.
Relevant. But do you know about that movie?
No.
Everyone wears Crocs.
Yeah, so it's the Wilson, one of the Wilson brothers, or the Wilson brother, the other one.
I don't know what you're saying.
But you've never seen the movie, but basically he's like in the military, and he's like one of the dumbest people in the military, and he like signs up for this special program, and they cryo freeze him. And he wakes up in the future, and everyone in the future is like dumb, like as dumb can be. Like they've forgotten how to like do crops. Like they use like a form of Gatorade to like water the crops.
So it's like reverse Wally. Like they've
Yes.
become like unhelpable, but not technologically advanced.
Yeah. It's like awful. And
Okay.
so the designer for the costuming designer like went out and said like, what is the dumbest thing
The ugliest shoe.
and the ugliest shoe that we can find to put on these people, and thinking no one's ever gonna wear them. And then it was the Crocs. So if you go in and you watch that movie, it's hilarious.
And look at him
But
now. Look at him now. Making stiletto Crocs.
I
They
know,
got all kinds of Crocs.
but that's what they did. They're all wearing like orange Crocs in that movie. I don't know what to tell.
Mine are white, so
Yeah. Well, Zach, can you tell us about yourself, your background, your education, teaching experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Round Rock. I was born in Austin, so Austin native, and then grew up in Round Rock. Went to Chisholm Trail Middle School with Tracy Reedus, and then went to Round Rock High School with Ed Stein and David Mobley, and then went to UT Austin, Hookham. So stayed in Austin my whole life, that 20-mile radius or so, and while I was at UT, I got my trumpet performance certificate, got my business minor, got my music ed degree, and also was marching drum corps, doing a lot of teaching, as much as I could, lessons, judging region band, teching for marching band, and then ended up at Vista Ridge High School in Cedar Park. So again, just the same Central Texas area, and taught there for 6 years. This is my first year out of the classroom.
So, how did you handle college? Because you just like listed off like 3 or 4 things that you did in college, with like you said a performance certificate, a minor in business, and then a music ed degree.
Yeah, there was at least when I was in college, they had the three pick. You have three, the pyramid of three things. You can only have two of those, and it was sleep, good grades, or a social life. And I chose good grades and a social life, and so just sleep was not a large factor of what I did. But I mean, yeah, it was just really early mornings teching, really late nights practicing or doing homework when I could after teching, and then with the business minor, I was able to double up on some courses. So, like for example, a science class that I needed, I took MIS. management information security, which also counted for like natural science and business. So I tried to double stack where I could, but I had to end up taking 3 credits, not 3 credits, 3 courses, 9 credits while I was student teaching. So I finished that business minor while I was student teaching at Glenn High School.
So glutton for punishment. That's what you're telling me.
Mhm.
I like learning, and I like both of those things. So I don't know. It fit well, and I mean, it started probably in like second grade. My mom told my teacher because I was starting to act out, just getting in trouble in grade
What?
school. I know,
What?
shocking. And she told my teacher, she was like, if he ever gets done with his work and starts doing that, just give him more. Like have like a separate folder of like extra things, reading and assignments and activities. And so I don't know. That was just like a part of education, and so I love learning and was always trying to do more, I guess.
Can you talk a little bit about your family?
Yeah, my family is awesome. I'm very lucky to have the family that I have. My siblings, my sister is 4 years younger than I am, so uh, I was upset always because like we missed each other in middle school, and we missed each other in high school, and we missed each other in college. We were like 1 year outside of that, but we were super close. Always family vacations together, family time. We tried to eat dinner at the table, every night, and that was really helpful. And then my brother is 13 years younger than I am, so when he was born, he actually ended up sharing my room. So like he moved, and I wanted it. I was like, oh, he's got to stay in my room. So he ended up rooming with me from like baby until I graduated, which was only 4 years, but it helped us get really close. And then my parents, my my mom was a lifelong admin, so she did admin at like a law office at UT, but for the most of her life has been the front office admin at Chisholm Trail Middle School, where I went to school. So she was always about being in education so that she could have time with us as kids. And then my dad worked in the semiconductor industry, but same thing. I mean, they were both always at my stuff. They just supported me in everything that I did, and I think it made a huge difference. Not only in like us being tied as a family unit, but like me feeling supported in pursuing the things that I was interested in.
Well, that is a consistent battle that we fight in education is like making sure that every child feels like they have someone in their corner, and the more people you have in the corner, the better the child's going to grow. I mean, that's just fact. Um
Yeah, I want
and
to. I mean, shout out my principal at Vista Ridge, Paul Johnson. His saying was, "If it's important to kids, it's important to us." And I just always try to take that to heart. So anytime a kid invited me to if it was band related, obviously, sure, right. But if they invited me to a different activity that they were doing, or a different organization, or a different event, a sports event, something like that, I would always try to be there because they sometimes wouldn't have that support.
yeah, do you think that played a direct role to some of the success that you had as a band director?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, like of the success of just, I mean, relationships are success, right? Like having great relationships with the kids and getting them to buy in with what we're trying to get them to do, whether that's be a good person or be a good musician. Like, I think those relationships are the most important thing. So yes, I think it did.
Well, and I've been using success in different ways as a band director because like there's and I've said this before, there's a difference between being successful and being competitive. You can be successful without being competitive, and you can be competitive and also be a failure in other ways. So like being a band director and saying like successful, like the relationships is part of it. I kind of started thinking about band directing in like 3 or 4 different prongs. Like relationships is like, are you successful at relationships? Or even a way, are you competitive with your relationships? Political, we are servants, a political servant to the ISD in our community. 3, music.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like that one might be actually a little bit lower on the totem pole as far as that goes, because like if you are not building and have being successful in your relationships, like honestly the music part's not gonna pop on all cylinders. And then if you're not being political and an advocate for your program, then you can't make music as well as you might want to because you just don't have the support. And then like, the fourth prong is like finding the balance um it with everything. to be successful in that. Because we've talked about this a lot, Zach. Because Zach, congratulations, you're a new dad.
Woo! Yeah.
So I feel very honored that Kendall decided to give birth to Ryder on my birthday.
Yeah, you guys are birthday
Totally
twins.
planned. Yeah,
Yeah.
we waited.
All going to plan. So but like there's a competition on like the work life balance, and like it is a competition in those two things, and deciding how you're going to measure your success in the family, success in the classroom, like how that's all going to work out, and that's kind of hard. But you seem to be doing pretty well with that, as far as I know and as far as I'm concerned. But I think the other thing that's contributed a lot to like the way you are and what you do is because you've taken that approach to a lifetime learner. And I think that's where a lot of band directors and just a lot of people get stuck. Just because, like, I don't know about you, but I know plenty of band directors who go like, oh, why do I need to go to that clinic? I've been doing this for 30 years, or I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been doing this for 16 years. And they just stop doing that. And then they start to stall out.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I've seen the posts of Carol Nelson, of her attending clinics, and that's just like so inspiring. And then also like the guys at Robstown High School, in their 70s, and they're actively pursuing new information. And so like I aspire to that. Like if I ever stop learning or thinking that I know it all, like to me that's like lost. That's like failure. So you want to talk about like success. Success is, did I learn something today? And it doesn't have to be like actually tangible, right? But like, did I move this project forward? Do I feel good with the work? And that success can be other things of, did I do something for someone else? But to me, a lot of how I measure success is just growth overall. And so seeing people that are still growing contributes to that like inspiration, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's a really big part of our job that we sometimes like neglect, and like the things that we're doing, because we are so programmed to make other people better that sometimes we forget about making ourselves better.
Yeah. Well, and the system, if you will, becomes monotonous, right? Like you have campus PD, and then you have TMEA, and then you have TBA, and it's like, yes, these are the things that we do. Like this is just part of the calendar every year. But what is the intentionality behind those things? Like, I mean, I think it's probably because I'm just like super. I have to do things quick. Speed is like a huge component to what I do, and so when the guidebook for TMEA would come out, I'd like the day it comes out, like I would start my calendar and like, okay, got to sit down and like plan out all the things. Now, did I end up going to all of them? No, right? But my intention was, here's my plan for this clinic. But those are already preset. So outside of that, it's like unless I'm actively bringing someone in to learn from, or going and observing, or getting my information from an outside source that's not banned, whether that be like leadership books or podcasts or things like that, then it just becomes routine. And it's routine TMA, it's routine TBA versus purposeful. And then what else? What else, right? There's so much else out there other than the things that are already on the band calendar.
So why band?
I think for me, what it started with the ultimatum I gave myself going from eighth grade to ninth grade, and thank God for Ed Stein, who came over and did the great high school band director thing of, you need to do band, you should stay. And his logic with me as an eighth grade boy was, Zach, are there girls in football? And I said, no, sir. And he said, are there girls in band? And I said, yes, sir. And he just put his hands up in the air, looked me dead in the eye, and walked out. And I think that that had some influence on my life.
You just gotta appeal to what you gotta appeal to.
I feel like that would resonate with you
Oh, that
too.
sure did.
Yeah.
With I mean, I know exactly what. Actually, you know what, the thing that one of the things that put the final nail in the coffin for me about going into high school band is that we used to go to Schlitterbahn because we were close
Nice.
enough to Schlitterbahn, that my eighth grade year, we had a tuba player fail in the top ensemble. And they did like the sound waves thing. And we stayed in the resort for the weekend, all this kind of other stuff. And my band director asked, hey, Jose, do you want to come to this band contest with us? And I said, sure. And so I went to Schlitterbahn with the high school band as an 8th grader, and I said, "That's pretty girl. That's pretty girl." And that's how that's how I got hooked.
Look, you meet them where they're at, man. But I'll never forget that conversation because I told my dad and he thought it was super funny. But I mean, at like going into high school band, I was big into cross country, track, soccer in middle school, and so I was like, if I don't make the wind ensemble, I'm not doing band. And it was a really like weird and dumb metric that I put on myself at the time, like as an 8th grader in the ninth grade. I didn't even know what that meant. It was just to me, I guess if I didn't hit that bar, then like I should pursue something else because I was pretty good at running. So I was like, well, I'll just pursue that instead. And I ended up making it. And I mean, I was very surprised. I did not expect that at all. Saw the results came out, and I was like, well, I guess I'm doing band. And from there, it took me a while to go all in on it. Um, Once I made it to high school band, then it really filled that social void, or not even void, but just like was so nice getting to hang out with friends all the time. I still get the Facebook memories of going over. We called him Papa John, but it was John Neidig. We would go over to his house like as a freshman, going to his house as the senior section leader, and the friendships that we made. I mean, four of those guys, four of my best high school trumpet friends were in my wedding. So like that was huge for me. The competitive aspect of high school band, like a very, very competitive person, and that aspect of high school marching band really helped fill that void. And then as I got older, like becoming really good at the trumpet. I always loved playing my instrument, but I didn't know the level that I could take that to. And once I found that out, then that drive and that motivation came behind it, and it was a lot of fun to pursue as I guess being as good as I could on my instrument.
So were you the best musician in your band?
No. uh, I mean, as much as I wanted to be, I had initial initial talent, like talent without trying through middle school. Still wasn't the best, but uh, had some initial talent enough to get by. And then as I realized how good I wanted to be, then I realized how far I had to go. And so I mean, I think of the people in my class. Jessica Treffer is one that comes to mind. She's a clarinetist in the Air Force Band, and she's fantastic. So no, I was by no means the best. I really tried to be. My senior year, you know, that's when I was practicing like 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, just grinding it out. But I realized that my natural talent maybe took me to like 75%. And then to try to get to that 90 to 100, I just had to put in so much more work than I had ever done. And it was fun. It was fun chasing that next level.
Well, and that's something that's like hard for like kids is like that intrinsic drive. And like as soon as somebody figures out the formula for that, please send it to Jose at banyap.com.
Yeah.
Uh because that is so hard to like really, really instill and finding that moment. And like what I think of is the movie, and this is right on that alley. Soul,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm.
where whatever number it is, what's the number?
I don't even
I don't know,
remember.
but like they finally get their final spot
Their
filled and
spark.
their spark, and that's what it is. Like finding that spark is so difficult, and like especially for a middle school kid because like they're I mean, I don't know about you, but there was I mean, I was awkward to a certain degree. Um but I think everyone in middle school feels like they're slightly awkward.
Yeah. Well, and there's just so many things, and there's even more things now, right? Like, not only I think there's two avenues. You can either be involved in as many things as you want, as niche as chess club, right? It's like band nerds, and it's like there's levels to all of the nerd versus sport, which whatever activity you want to be involved in. And then there's the exact opposite of like, I'm just going to stay at home and play video games with my friends all day. Like, I'm not going to engage in anything. And maybe that's their spark, right? But they don't there's more options, I guess is what I'm trying to say, for them to either engage in or disengage from, which makes it even harder.
Yeah. So who would you say has been your like greatest mentor or
I
mentors?
think there's been several throughout my life. Like they've probably changed as life has gone on. I guess my first was probably my dad. Just like seeing his work ethic and like about the family conversation earlier. His family was from Mexico, so like they were immigrants, and like the two things they believed in is just and hard work and education. It's like those are the two ways to better your life. Period. And so I think that was my initial mentorship.
Yeah. So okay, so you're a second generation American.
Yeah, like kind of 1.5. Like his brothers and sisters were born in Mexico, but he was born in America. So yeah, but I like for my direct family, I am a second generation.
Okay. Uh, I'm like second generation on one side, and third generation on the other. So it's a very interesting balance. But like that's also something else that like you and I have talked about this a little bit is like the understanding of differences in like where you want to be and where you might be at, because we've talked about like some like understanding between band directors on like, hey, why doesn't that kid, work as hard as this other kid? And it's just like, well, maybe they are. They just don't have, that's not the priority of their life right now.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I mean, everyone has, like we were just talking about with the spark, everyone has a different thing that motivates them. Some people it's I want to be the best at this thing, and you can't really explain why. And some of them it's I saw my parents do this, and so I want to be like them. Or it's I don't have that in my life, like I'm figuring that out as I go. Maybe I have a friend that I look up to, or someone invited me to this thing, and that's the only reason I'm here. My sister was much different than I was in band, in that she was in it for the bus rides, for the buckies, for the contest. I was in it because I love the trumpet. Like I really love trumpet, and because of my investment in trumpet, like I ended up meeting some really cool people. But I mean, I still play my instrument as much as I can to this day, and that was such a huge part of why I did it, and it's still a huge part of why I do it.
So what made you join sixth grade band?
My mom made me, but it had to be music. So she said, you have to do a music elective. And in Round Rock ISD, we had orchestra, choir, and band. And so when I was making that decision, most of my friends in fifth grade were doing band. And so I just said, well, most of my friends are doing band. I'm going to do band. That was the decision, I guess.
Okay, so is your youngest brother like in band or has been in band?
He was. He same requirements from my mom all the way through. She said you have to do music. It was important to her. And the funny thing was, like, she was not involved in music. So I don't know where she got that from for me as the first child, but I think she saw the benefits, obviously, like as I
Well,
went
I
through.
mean that I think that's what it is, because like my mother was like in band. Like my grandmother's from across, from she's from Monterrey, and
Nice.
so she, my mother was basically almost born in a field outside of Mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like my grandfather was a nurse, and so he actually delivered my mother and misspelt Michelle on the birth certificate. That's why my mother's name is spelt a little weird. I believe that's the
Nice.
story. I think that's the right story. But she was basically born almost in a field. But like it was important for that side of the family for the kids to be involved in band.
Mm,
And then I don't know why, but I think it's partially because of the opportunities that they didn't have versus
yeah.
the opportunities that like we currently have.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And my mom, like her family was from Texas, Texas. Like she was from Gonzales, and they were from America, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know how many generations, but from many, many, many generations of Texans. And she did some things in school, but I think they just wanted me to experience music. They understood the power of music, and then when I went through it, from then it was like they hoped for band, but they would have supported my brother and sister in anything. So he did it 6 through 8. Um, but he is a phenomenal soccer player. He's on the varsity team. He's one of the only sophomores on the varsity team at the high school, and so he ended up going the soccer route, uh, and didn't ever do high school band. But going back again to the family conversation is how they just supported us in everything we did. So it wasn't like like you quit band, like what a bummer. It was like, no, what are you doing? Like you love soccer, let's support you in soccer. And so now he plays in Lone Star Select Soccer, and then he plays for the high school. And so anytime they have to travel, anytime there's a game, like if my parents can't make the game, then I try to make the game. We always try to be there and support each other. And I think that's just like a huge part of success, right? Going back to that word is just the family supports each other, and we're really close. And I don't take it for granted, you know.
So, okay. So, is there anybody else? Is there anybody that really, really helped you in your journey to becoming a band director?
Yeah, yeah. So that was my early life, was like my dad, you know, just looking up to him. And then as I got into middle school, I would say probably, I mean, Miss Reedus was amazing, Tracy Reedus, and just like kind of sparking the love for music. I struggle sometimes to think back and like, what did trumpet class feel like, right? Like, what did like middle school band feel like? But I feel like we had the trips. We recorded and we were selected for Wibbick. Like I was in eighth grade when we were selected for Wibbick, so I didn't get to go, but I was part of the recording ensemble, so that was really cool. So we had a lot of opportunity there. So she kind of sparked that interest, and then from a high school perspective, definitely Ed Stein. Just he was so stern in a positive way. Like you respected him to the nth degree. Everything he said was law. We loved him. Like we would do anything for him. And so just seeing him in that director role, I think was really cool. And him coming down to the middle school and talking to me was really cool. Like I remember that personally. So that had some influence. When I went into college, uh, the big one there was probably Robert Saladin at Leander High School. I teched there for 3 years, so from sophomore to senior. And just something I remember all the time was just him calling on the students from the tower by first and last name. And it's a small thing, but like I remember that vividly. Of it was never just Brooke; it was Brooke so and so, and it was Tyler so and so, and it was, and he knew all that, and that was impressive to me. I think being on the field level as a tech, like I could see that in the kids, and then I could also just feel like it felt good to be a part of this program. And so it was something I wanted to emulate when I was wanting to be a band director. And then Kim Shuttlesworth, student teaching, fantastic leader and mentor, and just very like grounded, but also fun, a ton of fun. And then, of course, when I got into the job, Brian Christian there at Vista Ridge, just, and the funny thing is like, the more I, because he wasn't there my last year, and then of course like we weren't working together this year, but it's like the more time that passes, the more that mentorship has influence on me, you know what I mean? It's like
Mhm.
maybe in the moment I took it for granted because it was just like he's my head director, like I'm going to do what he says, and my job is to support him. But now that I'm like past that, I realize how much I had to learn from him and how much I did learn from him by working with him.
Well, like, also look about your like, what was it like to realize, like, once you got into the band directing world, like, knowing that Ed Stein was your head director?
I think I didn't realize it at the time. I think the reason I realized it more as I got into band directing was just like the amount of people that knew and respected him. Like when I would say it, they'd be like, "Oh, where'd you go to high school?" Roanoke High School. "Oh, did you have Ed Stein?" I'd be like, "Yeah, Mr. Stein. Like he was amazing." And it was just like realizing other people's respect for him versus, I mean, I've talked about this with some of my friends. Like college, you get to choose, right? Like I want to go study with this professor. I want to be a part of this ensemble. I want to go to this university. With high school, it's like, where do my parents buy a house? That's where I go to school. I mean, and you get who you get, good, bad, ugly. It doesn't matter. And so I think that was my band director, and I loved it. Like, and I enjoyed being in his band, but I didn't understand the weight of him being my band director until I saw how many other people respected him, and how much he does in the band world.
And hindsight's 50-50.
The famous Jose Sanchez
Yeah.
quote.
Hindsight's 50-50. But and that's why, like, I'm gonna tell you, like, as someone who grew up in a successful band program, not necessarily competitive, um, going to Baylor and going through that process, like, I can't tell you how jealous I would get of other people. Like,
Mm.
oh, we got made it to state marching contest, and I was able to do this, and I had private lessons in high school, and they came to us. Like, I didn't start taking private lessons until after I made state, like at ATSSB All State, and then like I had to drive 45 minutes to go take that lesson.
Yeah, man. I mean, perception is reality, but man, if you could pack perspective into, into anything, right? But even now, I mean, there's levels to everything. When I go work with the bands in the Valley, that's a different perspective. You know what I mean? And everyone has their things, right? Every program has constraints, whether that's budget or facilities or staffing or you name it, right? And that's been super eye opening to me in this new role is like getting to see all of those things, how people overcome them. And I think a lot of times we want to feel that whatever that thing is for us, that like is insurmountable, or it is this massive thing. And at the end of the day, everyone has their thing, right? And it's just how do you overcome it? That goes back to the growth thing, right? It's like, okay, I have this thing, but someone else has to have the same thing that I'm going through. There's no way. There's no way that someone else isn't facing this or worse, right? And then how do they overcome that? And we think a lot in the Texas bubble, but same thing, even like broader than that, right? I remember going to my first, well, we were on tour for drum corps, and I would start staying overnight in like the first out of state schools, and just, where's the field? You know what I mean? They're like, this is it. There's like 5 benches. I'm like, this is like the park. Like, this is where we played little league soccer, and this is like the stadium where we play football, and there is no room for, like, the band doesn't go. You know what I mean? Or this is the band, the choir, the orchestra room for K through 12. Like, this is the music room, right? And it was just, oh wow, we had a band hall, we had a facility for band. So there's levels to all of it.
Yeah. Um, and the reality of things is just like so interesting because like this is something I have to tell the high school kids. I'm like, guys, like, one, is this issue that you're having with this so and so gonna matter tomorrow? Is it gonna matter like 3 weeks from now? Is it gonna matter 5 years from now? And they're like, no. Okay, I'm like, okay, then let's bring it down a little bit. But in that moment, that is the most important thing to them, and like talking them off that edge is like sometimes really really difficult because they're blinded by like what they are. Like, right? Okay, a situation that we've run into is like parents having, or people having, a perception of like inside the community of like how much we practice.
Hmm.
Okay, we practice 7:15 a.m. every single day through our class period. Okay, and then we do Monday night rehearsals from 6 to 9. And I have people upset that we practice too much. And when we do summer band stuff, we do a 3-hour music block and then a 2-hour marching fundamental block. And
I
I
mean,
have I have people who like will raise just like all sorts of issues about it because like y'all are up at the band hall too much. Y'all like practice too much. I'm like, we do that schedule for like maybe 2 weeks.
yeah. Well, and I'm sure it's probably more than they've ever done, right? Like, even if it's little
Actually,
league soccer.
well, so like that's the crazy thing is because whenever I inherited the program, they were going like 3 a days. They were doing full days.
I guess I meant like leading up to high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if they were in middle school band, or like middle school soccer, or like little league sports, it's like maybe an hour a week or a couple hours a week versus, and I get it, right? Like, to me, it's like, yeah, it sounds great. It sounds like a great schedule. But to someone who has never experienced that amount of investment, it's just, yeah, it's a lot. Like, but how good do you want to be? You know what I mean? How far do you want to go? How excellent do you want to be? And this is where our program wants to go, and this is what it takes.
Yeah, and so we've gotten better about having meetings and discussions with parents and like handing out pamphlets and all this kind of stuff and kind of showing them the direction that we wanted to go. But I tell you what, man, whoo, it is one battle after another. And I love our community and they are fantastic. I haven't had nearly as many conversations about that in the past like few years, but when I started making the switch and we got into a middle point where we were far enough away from like the old schedule to what we are now, that's where it was like, ugh, specifically after the COVID year.
I was going to ask, like, how that's changed since your time there. And I mean, I follow you guys on social media, like the band, Gatesville band, and so I see. Like, do you think that like, you guys putting the information out there, and again, success in quotes, like, I mean, obviously you're successful going to state marching contests and finals and all this stuff. Like, do you think that them seeing maybe some of the end result at least not validates, but shows them why? Like, do you think it helps support
Yeah,
the
yeah,
decisions
very
that you're
much so.
making?
Because like one of the coolest things that we do, and for me, it's great. But we have like a send off performance for state marching contest, and
Nice.
we turn on the lights on a Monday night. So we rehearse for a little bit, and then that Monday night we do a send off performance, and it's like it's an hour long, and we set up the field and we do all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the performance, we invite the parents to come down to take photos with the kids and take photos with the props and do all that kind of stuff, since that's like our last Monday night.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And
That's awesome.
so and I think that's kind of one of the things that's like helped turn that, and that's been great. But I can tell you, there for a hot second, it was not very pleasant.
I think about this a lot, though, not necessarily in that context, but like in not necessarily our community that we work in, but like just as like a big picture thing. Every school district that funds a band program, people in that community want to have like the biggest band in their football district or the best band in their whatever they see throughout the season. But the problem is not what people can achieve, it's what they're willing to support. And so I think about that all the time because everyone wants to, have a band that sounds really great and like takes up most of the field and can play the Star Spangled Banner better than anybody else in the whatever. But not everyone is willing to not even do what it takes to get there. That's part of it, but just support what it takes to get there. I just think about that a lot because I don't think there's a right answer, but it's like a specific formula of magic that makes things
Yeah.
happen and
Like,
hard work.
yeah, financial support versus like,
And the right people in the right
yep,
places, and
yep,
that's all super important.
yep.
It's a vast combination of factors.
So like financial support, time support, and just like
Staffing,
staffing.
administration,
Well, and
community.
then like just being present. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I have no problems with parents showing up to our marching band rehearsals.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'd always, I mean, get the lawn chair out, come check it out, see what your kids like.
Well,
Well,
people do
Kind of,
that to middle school football practice. So
yeah.
like
yeah.
come to band rehearsal too. That's
Well,
fine.
and like I think when that happens, and stop me if I'm wrong, I think the kids perform better and they work harder because they see that they're being supported in that way. At least for us, I know some coaches and things like that don't like that.
Closed practice.
Yeah, but like when we did BOA for the first time, and we were able to stay over at Vista Ridge, and you and I had like this conversation, but I told my kids, I go, look, they're doing a visual block. I want you to watch the visual block, and I want you to watch the intent behind everything that they do, the instruction that's happening, and all this kind of stuff. And I think you when you and I had that conversation, you're like, thank you so much for being there, because my kids locked in and wanted to perform well because they had other people watching them. Because I think you had said like before that they were being all sorts of poo poo.
Well, it's just like, yeah, because it was the middle of the day and we were going to grind it out. It's like, we're going to get better. Like, we could sit down, and just chill, or we could get better. Like, I'm choosing for you that we're going to get better in this time. Um, but I think that's anyone that's like innately part of the human experience, right? It's why we talk a lot about like practicing performance, whether that's for an audition, like region band, or practicing like legitimately as a band program for a performance. And I ask it all the time in my clinics, whether two ways. One, I'll have the staff, I'll say, hey, staff, you're going to pick the best performer on this rep, and you're going to select them. They're going to come out and they're going to do the thing for us. Or A's, get out your phones, or get the B performer's phones, record the B performer with their phone, and then you're gonna show it to them. And just those two things, we'll do the reps, we'll get it done, and then I'll say, okay, honest, you have to be honest. Raise your hand if you tried a little harder, even just a little harder on that rep than the rep before, when you didn't have someone watching you or trying to pick you out to be the best. And a lot of time, kids, they won't raise their hand, but generally 50% of the kids, 75% raise their hand. And it's like, imagine if you did that every single time. But that's hard, right? Like, it goes back. I mean, it's all the integrity piece of what we talk about all the time, of just like being a good person. Is like, do you do the right thing when no one's watching? Same thing for performance. Like, do you actually try when no one's quote unquote watching you? Like, someone's always watching, but is someone actually, watching you purposefully on this rep in this performance?
So how do you establish like the culture in your band hall for that type of excellence consistently?
I think getting to the individual as much as possible. Like, you either know it or you don't, and we're only as strong as our weakest link, right? Like, we're only all the parts of the whole make the whole. If everyone's perfect on their music, imagine how good it'll be as an ensemble. But not just saying it, right? Like, and I remember my first couple of years at Vista with the sub non varsity B, the fourth band, um, going down the row, and lots of tears, more than I expected, I guess. I don't know what I was expecting because I didn't have any experience, but I was like, oh man, this is rough. And this was in concert season, not marching season. And so we just over year, it was more individual, more down the row, and it just became part of the culture. And instead of it becoming a gotcha, well, I think there's three levels to it. There's the I gotcha level, like busted, right? You don't know your stuff. That feels bad for anyone. Like if a an administrator walked in on a day that you just like didn't get any sleep, you didn't have a good plan, you like weren't with it, and you're like, man, that sucks. Like I feel like they just got me. There's that level. That's like level one. Level two is I am finding out that you don't know how, but now I can support you. Like I know where the gaps are. I can be better for you as a teacher, and I can help you with individual feedback. I think level three, which we got to like over time, was I want to perform. So like when it was like, hey, who wants to play their young artist solo for the class? It was like hands immediately went up. Okay, you play. You're next. You're next. And it wasn't this. You need to play now because I want to see where you're at. It's like, I want to perform. I want to show you guys what I can do. Same thing for the marching season. Okay, we're passing off the feature. Who wants to go first? Hand up. And it's a very different feeling when it becomes that. But it took years. You know what I mean? It wasn't a 1 year or a one season thing. It was like crying down the row to wanting to play down the row over 6 years, at least the 6 years that I was there. I noticed that shift very, very slowly. So but it was cool. It was really, really fun to see.
So, you've talked about this a little bit. So you've been really involved in the marching arts. Can you tell me about your journey through the marching arts?
Yeah. First intro to marching arts was day one of summer band at Round Rock High School. They sat us all down. Hey, welcome to marching band. Let's do this thing. Awesome. And then they threw on Phantom Regiment Spartacus. And it was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, I want to do that. That's so cool. Got the blood rushing. Got super excited about marching band. And that was the year that Round Rock got the new Dragon uniforms.
Those are pretty sick.
So
Those are
yeah, they're
pretty
pretty
sick.
cool. Like band uniforms are band uniforms, right? But like those are cool. Like we felt like $1 million wearing those. And so I think we had a new design team. Like I didn't know what I didn't know at the time, but I think we had like a design team coming in. I think we had clinicians coming in. I think they were making some changes as a program, but I was a freshman. So, anyways, I'll like fast forward through all that. But basically, I think they had been like 27th at area the year before my freshman year, and then we like won Cap City, then we won Westlake marching, and we made state, but we didn't make finals. And so the seniors were telling me like, this is not normal. Like we have never experienced this, but the buy-in, I guess, and the culture of the band shifted, and being a part of that was really cool. To obviously going to Grand Nats, and we won music and semifinals and all that stuff my senior year. So like I got a ton of experience in high school that I loved, a lot of varied experience, and it was fantastic. From there, I actually marched the first year of Guardians in 2013. Um, they were just starting, and someone reached out to me. One of my friends was marching there, and they were like, "Oh, like we're giving scholarships for all state musicians. You know, come check us out." And I was like all in on trumpet at that point. So I was doing Baylor Band Camp, UT Band Camp, and Texas State Band Camp that summer. And my friend messaged me, and I'm like, man, I'm doing these band camps. He's like, just come when you can. So I showed up. We stayed in the Boys and Girls Home in Seguin, Texas. And like, that's where we rehearsed because we were sound sports. So we were just in a gym on a tarp and fell in love with it. Like, it was just awesome. Being with your friends 24/7 and just like all consuming band was super fun. Super short tour. Next year, decided to audition for World Class. Ended up marching Crossman, then spent 2 years at Blue Knights, and then aged out with the Blue Devils. Those are my 5 years of marching. And then I taught the next year when I aged out at Blue Knights. Then I taught at Phantom, followed that Viz staff to Phantom. And then we were going to teach, my wife and I, Kendall, at Boston together, which would have been really cool, but that was the COVID season. And then we ended up traveling after that. And so that was I have not. I've done a couple of things with drum corps since then, but that was kind of the bulk of my drum corps experience.
Do you have a favorite part of the marching arts?
There's not necessarily like a specific thing, right? I think holistically, the amount of time that you put in on one project, and that project being, 8 minutes for high school or 13 minutes for drum corps, like that will never be replicated, I think, in any other part of life. Truly. I mean, if you're doing, even for drum corps, right, 150 people, let's say we did, I don't know, for easy math, 10 hours a day times 90 days, that's 900 hours times 150 people working on 13 minutes. Like, when else in your life are you going to spend that many man hours just trying your hardest to put together a perfect 13 minutes? I think that to me is like it's kind of taking everything and putting it together, right? But that to me is, there's nothing else like it.
Yeah. That's like they did this study on like stress levels and just kind of that kind of thing, and they say you will never experience the stress and the relief of anything other than like college finals.
Mm.
Like the way your body reacts and like the dedication to that like one test is not matched almost anywhere else just because of the way that feels.
Yeah, and I mean, take that and then multiply it by however many members are in the band or however many members are in the drum corps times the you know what I mean? Like, it's exponential. I think that's what I love the most about it.
Well, I also like for us, um, we had our band banquet not too long ago, and I've never seen so many seniors cry at our band banquet before. And it was just like interesting because I was just like, there's a lot of tears
Well,
here
it's like
today.
their ninth one, right?
Yeah, it was
So
my
it's not like it's the first
yeah,
time.
it's like it's my ninth band banquet, and like the number of tears at this one was just like different.
Yeah.
And I think partially because this is like that class that was like an alternate to state their freshman year and
Mm.
then have made it 3 years in a row since then. And I think like the time commitment and knowing that this is their one of their last band events or for the seniors, I think that just hit them a little bit harder because like you got to think about it. Those kids put in, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 extra weeks of marching band
Mm.
in comparison to what all the other classes prior to it. And not only that, our football team has been pretty good going 2 to 3 rounds the past couple of years. And so like they've just spent a lot of time together in ways other kids don't spend time together.
Yeah, and I think the other component of that, like thinking about band holistically, is like it's the only aspect of the band program in general where every member of the band is working on the same thing, right? It's either solo or it's region or it's divided by ensemble or whatever, right? But the marching season is everyone. It's truly everyone that clicked, yes, I want to be a part of band, and that's the only part of the year that's like that.
I know that's something that we're trying to currently overcome is that like we've talked to our leadership team and like their biggest one of their biggest complaint is like once we get into March out of marching season, like they feel like a disconnect within their sections and the band as a whole because they're no longer all together.
Yeah. Yeah, we started switching. So we kind of, everyone talks about like year-round leadership, right? So we ended up switching. Normally you do like leadership camp, then marching season, then whatever you want to do, and then auditions, and then next season, right? But we moved all of our training or like leadership meetings. We still had meetings in the fall, but then we added and moved all our training to the spring. So the idea was train in the spring, then audition, then implement, like be a leader in the fall, and then it's really like a 3 semester term. Then once you're done being a leader in the fall, then you train the next leaders in the spring. So those upperclassmen who are graduating, they don't get to check out like, yeah, you're a senior, you finished marching season, but now as a senior, you're going to train the freshmen who's showing up to the leadership meetings and showing them what it actually means, like imparting your wisdom on them, legacy, year-round leadership. It's actually doing stuff, during the spring, and so that helped us a ton. And then I think the chamber ensembles that we added, like where it's by section, not by band. So like the flute choir, and it was optional, but anyone from wind ensemble to concert band could be in the flute choir, and so the flute section is still playing together, like they're still rehearsing. it's not necessarily like a section party, right? But they're making music together. They have purposeful time together as a section, which I think helps them.
Yeah. So, and you have a lot of experience in leadership because you are also an ambassador for a special group called Sassy. Can you tell us about like how you got involved in that and like some of the things that go on with like the training and like the purpose of that program?
Yeah, I think the purpose is training the next generation of leaders. I got involved through Jeremy Spicer, who owns the company. He reached out and I guess just, through connections in the area, ended up doing that. But the cool thing is when we start, you shadow. So like my first camp I ever like went and watched someone was Greg White, and it was fantastic. And so I got to learn from him. So it's kind of like a the most awesome like band internship possible because you're learning from all these amazing people like as you're trying to prepare to do that job. So that was super cool. And then the other like onboarding, we're actually doing it this Sunday coming up, is all of the facilitators meet on a Sunday in May, and we go through the curriculum ourselves. So there's a curriculum team, Reed Atkinson and Steve Smith and Jeremy and Chris E and some other people. They put the actual curriculum together, so like the branding, the packaging, the activities, and then we come together on a Sunday, and we spend all day together and go through exactly what the students are going to do. So we go through the workbooks, we share ideas, we share activities, kind of like a mastermind, and then we're essentially trained, and then we go out and use that training to teach these camps. The other cool thing is like most of it, we talk a lot about it being like experiential and like sharing the curriculum through stories. So as we plan for camps, we try to have like, okay, when's the time that I thought about this, or what are some examples of this like in my actual life versus just slideshow or workbook. It's truly about sharing experiences, being relatable, and putting our own flavor on it, right? Like my camp would look very different than Reed's camp, which would look very different than Robert Sladen's camp, which would look very different than Jeremy's camp. And I think that's like the beauty of the Sassy experience. Of course, yes, we're going to, do the drum majoring, we're going to do the leadership, but I think it's just learning and growing together. And it's really cool, just throwing this out there, like if you do Sassy camps, when the directors are a part of it. Like that, we always tried to do that when we would either facilitate ourselves, because like Reed and I were both on Sassy, so like we would do the camp together, but we would try to participate in that. And so when directors participate, it just brings another level of connection to that for the students. Like, what are you trying to get out of it? What are the directors trying to get out of it? We're all trying to move forward together. And that's always a really cool part of the Sassy experience.
Yeah, and I think that's really some invaluable like things that people can do to help is even if it's Sassy or like some other organization, just getting your students the opportunity to be trained in a way and give them that opportunity to grow as leaders is super, super, super important. I mean, we do the Sassy thing and we're very fortunate. We've had we've had Sean Murphy out, we've had Reed out, we've had Jason Robb out, we've had some like really really fantastic people, and but we always have some leadership work days where we continue to discuss and grow some of the topics and ideas that were discussed during the Sassy camp versus just, hey, we're doing the Sassy camp and that's it. um
Yeah. Yeah, one of the main quotes that we like drive home at in the curriculum is leadership equals action, which creates influence, right? Like action. What action are we going to take to make sure that these things happen? Because yeah, it's all hurrah and yay, we're leadership, but like that's why we switched to the spring because we'd actually have an event calendar and the students were in charge of tracking their stuff, but it was like, you're saying you want to be a leader, but you went to two events. Like we gave you 20 events you could volunteer at, and you only chose to go to two of them. Like leadership is action. What have you done to actually be a leader within the program? And I think that was a huge shift for us, but also, what we try to impart in Sassy is just idea creation, sharing experiences, motivating, and then it's passing the baton. Now it's on the program to take that and do with it what it wants.
Well, and like this is something that I live by, and unfortunately, it can get me in trouble sometimes. But like, what you see is what you get, and what I feel, I'm gonna say. I
What?
which is, caused some issues in my marriage at times.
I don't know what you
It
mean by that.
happens. It happens.
So, I mean, and I've been known around certain circles to be like, "Oh, Jose's going to say exactly the way he feels about things." And, it would let it be ruffling your feathers, that's fine. At the same time, I want to be liked by everyone, but I know that's not never the case. But it's just one of those kind of animals that like you have to like, don't be a snake in the grass. Like I hate that. Like be what you're gonna be. Say stick to your guns and don't back off from that. But like if you can't live the life, then like ugh, like live the life.
Yep, I agree 100%. I can relate to that pretty wholeheartedly. And I think a lot of that, like for me, manifests in social media. Like, and that's like a blanket comment. We don't have to go down that road, right? But like, it's like who I am is who I try to be on social media. It's who I try to be in person. It's who I try to be when I'm like not with you directly in front of your face, right? Like, I think, some of the interview questions like, what would your biggest fans say about you, right? It's like my biggest fans, I would hope, would say like, he is who he is. Like, you know what you're getting with this guy, and I think that to me is I try to make that part of who I am.
So when I first got to Gatesville, um, everyone was trying to figure out who and what I was because like I was different, I was new. And one of the best compliments I ever got from a kid, and this is a weird compliment, a teacher asked like, "Oh, how do you like Mr. Sanchez? Like, does he treat anybody with favoritism?" Like that was like a question. And the comment the student gave was like, "Well, he hates everyone equally."
You're
Doesn't
like,
have
I'll
any
take it.
favorites.
Yeah, we're like, I hate everyone. Well, I mean, that also tells you like this is the way I feel about all of you at this point in time.
I mean, hate, like it could be you hate them zero, right? Like if you don't hate any of them, you hate them all the same.
I was just like, out of all the things you could have said, I hate everyone equally. But
Thanks, kid.
yeah, thanks for the support. So you've been a part of a storied program. You have a state title underneath your belt when it comes to the marching arts. You have a world championship
Yep.
title with the Blue Devils.
hmm
Is there a moment that you remember the most out of that Blue Devil season?
Probably are. I mean, there was there was a lot. There's a lot of stories that come out of that year, but I think the coolest, one of the coolest, was doing the encore run. After, so you do the finals run, do the retreat, and then do the encore run. And we had this like rock out section on side two in the ballad, and all of the staff for the entire year was there on the field standing in front of us, and like we're chopped. Like it's definitely not like our best product, but they're just like hands in the air rocking out. You can just feel their raw emotion. Like at that point the stadium's empty, right? It's like the hardcore Blue Devils fans that want to watch the encore run, and then our staff. And so like that run, that kind of what you were talking about earlier of performing for someone, like to me that run was obviously for us to celebrate, but it was really cool and for them. Like thank you for teaching us this season. Thank you for taking us this far. It was like really emotional and special in that moment in particular, like in the ballad. Impact was super cool.
So also you have also a title with Vista Ridge. Is there a moment during that season that like speaks to you more than others?
I don't know if a specific moment. I mean, that was, I think, some of the coolest like overarching parts of that was that Reed and I were both new, and so the students, to me, I mean, again, I didn't have any perspective, right? It was just like, this is my first year teaching. I'm just going to do the best job I can and see what happens. And those students were just so hungry. Like they just did everything we asked. And I mean, truly ideal situation, right? I was like, hey, we want you to do this thing. I mean, to the level of we would do like performance walks of like how you're going to walk in the lot. And we got to the level of facial expression, like defined facial expression in choreography, because we decided to take the shakers off. It was an emotional show. We were like, your face needs to look like this on this count. Like that's the level of detail. The other, like we did a bunch of inhales and exhales, like programmed through the choreography of like, you're going to breathe in right here, and then you're going to breathe out, and it's going to be audible, and you're going to do this. And it wasn't like it wasn't pulling teeth. It was like, you'd be in the band hall rehearsing that, and you would hear it, and it would be like, okay, they're doing it. And I think it wasn't like a switch of buy-in, right? Of like, oh, we're going to believe these guys. It was like, we're all in. Like we're gonna do everything that they're asking us to, and whatever happens, happens. And so I think when that started to come through in performance, just the natural progression of the season of them getting better at those new skills, when it came through, and you could hear the breath on the judges' tapes, and you could see their facial expressions like from the box, like you could see their eyes change or their eyebrows change, and just the raw performance of that show, it was really, really special.
Well, I mean, it's the intent behind everything. Um, I kind of heard that you have a little bit of a walk up song to you like during an event. I think it's by Nancy Sinatra. Yeah.
I've never heard of
Okay.
this.
Do you know who Nancy Sinatra is?
No, I
Okay,
don't.
Nancy Sinatra sings the song "These Boots Are Made for Walking." Can you tell me about the boots that you wore from a guard set?
Yes. Oh, yes. Look, man, do it for the kids, all right? Whatever it takes. Uh, those were Emily Milovsky's white stiletto boots, and yeah,
Stiletto.
I rocked them in the lot for Vorkere. It seemed fit. White monster, white boots. It just seemed like the right thing to do in that moment, and the kids loved it, so it was fun.
Okay, I mean, how was that experience for you?
Short-lived, very short-lived. Put them on, went to the section. I think it was during section time. I think we were like walking around, the kids were doing their thing and talking to each other, and just like, oh, that's awesome. It was the hype. And then it was like, okay, now it's time to lock in. Like I was very much always, and still am, like, there's a time for chill, right? Like Blue Devils, we'd walk into the stadium whistling, uh, "Don't worry, be happy." It's like not a care in the world. We're vibing. And then like the second you hit that starting line, it is like the most intense performance professionalism you've ever seen in your life. Same with rehearsal. And so with my students, it was like they'll do whatever we ask of them, right? I think that's something I learned along the way, is like whatever we expect of them, and whatever timeline, this was the Brian thing, whatever timeline we give them to do that thing in, like they will do it, as long as we set the expectation clear and help them get there. And so I think that was for me, is like I tried to live that, right? It's like there's a time for being fun and having a great time, and then there's a time to it's serious. Like we've all put a lot of work and time and money and effort into this. We need to do our best job, and I think that's a life skill. Um, so yeah, I always try to have a good time with those little things.
Do you have a favorite memory as a band director?
There, there's a student. His name is Cody Foss, and he is a trumpet player. He was in my sub non varsity B ensemble all 4 years. Great kiddo. And we'd always start band. We started this, I think, in COVID. It was just like a downtime, different time, kind of figuring it out. But we started Cody quotes, and he like very just offhand, like the wildest stuff you've ever heard in your life. But he was always ready for it, and I'll never forget him. I'll never forget we do one of my favorite events at Vista Ridge was called the Ranger Star Ceremony, and it was a award ceremony where every single adult on campus had to pick a Ranger Star. Custodians, band, teachers, admin, everyone picked a Ranger Star, and we had this separate ceremony for them. We would let their parents know they'd get a certificate, all these things, and they would just share stories and like quotes and stuff like that. And so Cody was chosen to like give a speech at that ceremony last year, his senior year, and just like gave a shout out. And when you asked that question, I saw it in like the prompts for the podcast, and I was like, I'm just gonna skip over that, and I'm gonna say whatever comes to my mind in the moment. And that's what came to mind right now, because his mom sent me pictures like this year of him playing trumpet in the ACC courtyard, and it's like that, like that's what it's all about. I think if you had asked me like 3 or 4 years ago, it may have been, Vista Ridge State Marching Contest or something like that, Grand Nats. But I think that perspective for me has changed a lot in the past couple of years. So that was a
Well,
cool one.
well, and once again that tells you about the growth, and I think it's really, 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 really difficult for people who are like young educators to get past their own accolades at the very beginning of their career. And like for you, that's very interesting because you're a first year teacher and then you get a state title.
Well, Brian pulled me aside. Not. I mean, like they might have just said like and the winner, like 6 State Marching, Vista Ridge, and Brian like pulls me aside and he just whispers in my ear. He's like, "Don't get used to that," or something like that. It was like reality check, but you're right. Like it was not normal. So yeah.
But I think that's something that will burn out a lot of like young band directors is that like, what about me? Like, why am I not getting these awards? Why am I not getting that recognition? And it's just like, take a step back. Why are you a band director?
Hmm.
What made bands special to you?
Yeah.
Like put yourself back in that situation. Is it really about you anymore? It's like almost the same situation as becoming a parent. Like
Mm.
your perspective changes so much, and this is the way I kind of I this is my own personal philosophy. As soon as we had children, I felt like the me, like, oh, I'm doing this for me. Like it shifted so hard to like, this is what we need to do for our kids. And so therefore, like you're no longer at the top of the food chain.
Yeah. Yeah. I, a similar experience. Yeah, it's always just like a constant him, right? For us, like our son Ryder, it's like always, where's Ryder? How's he doing? Like we get the the app updates at his daycare, and it's just constant front of mind. Whereas you're right, like before kids, it was probably like, well, what am I going to do today? Like, what do I have on my calendar? Or, oh, tonight's a date night with Kindle. Great, like that's awesome. At least you have the significant other, but it's still so much more free time for yourself, I guess, if you want to take that time.
Yeah. And so we and I think this is kind of an issue in band director world, but like it, that's why empty nest syndrome or empty nest situations are like really, really hard on people, because I don't know if you know this, but like divorce rates of empty nesters is actually pretty high.
Mm,
Because what happens in a marriage um is that the marriage becomes about the children that are involved and not about connecting in the relationship that you have with your partner and just trying to figure that out. And so when the buffer is gone and that has been there for 18 plus years, now you have to relearn how to be a married couple again.
yeah. No, I mean that we're learning. I mean, like we're in that. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the chapter that we're in, and luckily, I mean, we have my parents are still here in Round Rock, like 45 minutes away. So we've been doing some grandma daycare. And then we just got Kendall's parents a house in Sun City, which is like 20 minutes north of our house. So we have that support. Again, family is like everything to me. But the last 3 years in particular, with us both being marching band directors, is we've sat down in the summer or even around now, usually actually, and we like have been so purposeful about planning date nights. Like those happen now for next fall. So the minimum is like once a month, right? Hopefully twice a month. And then we also do like family dinners. I mean, again, it's just like you make time for the things that are important for you. And so it's like, okay, this Sunday we're all getting together. We're cooking burgers at the house. Like, if you can make it, great. If you can't, but it's out there. And then same thing for our dates. So it's like, no, this is going to be an us night. And so then now we have another, variable to that, but it'll be like, hey, mom, can you watch these dates? Okay, put it on the calendar. And this is like a non-negotiable. It's something that's helped us a lot, especially in the fall. Spring is a little more manageable, but fall's hard.
Does your band budget feel like it's stuck on repeat? Same old fundraiser, same week results? It's time to change the rhythm. FanPledge with Sean Murphy brings the beat back with fun, fast, and effective fundraising. No product sales, no deliveries, and if you don't raise at least 10% more than your current donation based fundraiser, it's free. Call Sean at 903-948-7348. FanPledge, the choice of champions.
Is there a mistake you've made that has made you a better educator?
And I don't necessarily want to like, I don't think there's like a specific like, oh, like I messed this up. But overarching comments, this one relates to what we were just talking about, is like understanding what makes students tick. So for example, I was teaching, you go in your first year teaching, you sometimes teaching the sub non varsity A or B or whatever that ensemble is at the with the lowest skills in your program. And so to me, I just could not understand why they didn't, at least to me, want to get better, right? Like it was like, man, I really wanted to play the trumpet. Like I really wanted to do this. I really wanted to, and and I think it was COVID, or maybe right before COVID. And I looked at them and I was like, raise your hand if you have like any aspiration at all, like any goal of moving up within this program. And when I say moving up, I just mean like going to a more advanced ensemble, or like playing more advanced literature. And like 10 out of 35 kids raised their hand. And I was like, God. But that took me like 2 years, 3 years to figure out of like they are here for the Buckies and the football games and their friends, and like they're not here for trumpet, and like that's okay. But I was so in it, and I had just come out of college and UT Wind Ensemble, that it was like, well, this is what I'm here for, right? Like I love band, and that kid loves X, and so I think like finding that thing for that kid wasn't necessarily a mistake. And maybe it was. Maybe it was a mistake in how I approached things, but I think I grew through that. As time went on, that definitely made me a better educator in trying to connect to every unique kid in different ways.
Yeah. It's Samantha loves band, but Jimmy loves Samantha, who loves band.
the chain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's just the way it is sometimes. And we've talked about that before. Like I kind of have the three categories of kids, band kids, is that the first category, which we always want our kids to be like, they want to be here because they want to do band and they want to do band well.
Yeah.
They're just your all-star kids. And then your second category is the kids who are in band because it's a social thing and they like band, they just like their friends more. And then
Yeah.
the third category is the kids who are in band because they have to get a credit somewhere.
Yeah. 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 No, for sure.
And like, how do you get those kids to shift into the next category? And just figuring out, like, we have a wide spectrum of kids and I love our kids, but like I have to tell kids all the time, I'm like, the way I interact with you and the way I talk to you is going to be different between the way I interact and talk to this kid, because I can tell you, hey, that was poo poo, absolute poo poo, like, eh. But if I say that to this student over here, this student's gonna cry and like have a complete like meltdown because I said it the same way I said, and because you're two different people. You don't know what's happening behind closed doors for that person. I don't know about you, but I've stuck my foot in my mouth a couple times because
Oh
like
yes.
I've said something to a kid and then that kid broke, and then I'm just like, what just happened? And then I find out like, oh, their dog was just hit by a car that morning, and I was the thing that said something that like broke them.
Yes. That perspective. Like there's always something, right? Like there's always something. And to you it may not be big, to them it's the world, and you just never know. I think is a huge learning curve, especially when you may not be going through something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Um, what advice would you give to band directors?
I mean, obviously, there's tons of band directors out there that have taught a lot longer than I have. But recently,
Well,
I
I think
think,
it's because you have such an interesting perspective now. Because I'm going to touch on this later, but now you are like a freelance program coordinator, and you do a lot of choreo for people, and you have a new venture called the Band Blueprint. That is a great service. Um, so your perspective and your idea is a little bit different, and I think because you have the ability to see so many programs and like you interact with so many people and you've been part of Sassy and you've been part of the drum corps scene, that you bring a very unique vision and a very unique perspective in this sport. So like, even if you're young, like I think your wealth of knowledge is a little bit different.
yeah, I think the biggest thing recently is getting information and engaging outside of band. Like when I was a band director, I mean, everything was band, right? Like you woke up and I mean, you woke up and you went to the band hall and you spent all day at the band hall. And then I got home and my wife is a band director. So what do we talk about? Band. And our friends were also band directors. So when we went on vacations, what do we talk about? Band. And it was always band all the time. And I've been engaging in a lot of other content, podcasts and stuff like that. And I think the amount of like just realizing that like our world is so small for like planet Earth as a whole, right? But like the band world is like small of small of small, and then like our world is small. And so I think getting information, content, ideas from other things that aren't band, and I'm not talking about work-life balance or like hobbies or something. I'm like talking about just strictly where am I getting information on leadership? Where am I getting information on work ethic and culture and all these things? Like our organizations are our lives when we're band directors, right? Like I mean, I was so proud to be a part of the Vista Ridge community. All I wore was Vista Ridge merch. Like, I mean, I had my hashtag Go Rangers that I put on all my social media stuff. Like, I was all in on my school, but there's so much more out there to draw from to help that vision be better than just the four walls of the band hall or even your circle of band people. That's like probably my most recent growth avenue, I would say.
So you've stepped away from band directing for whatever reasons, um, and now you're actually. Can we talk about your choreo first? How did you get into choreo?
Uh, Brian and Reed may say differently, but here's how I took it when I got to Vista Ridge was the marching band was good. It had always, done well. And we had a new, I honestly don't know if the year before us I think they did use the same design team. Anyway, we had a design team. Like they had music, they had drill, they had a program coordinator, all that stuff, but they didn't have a band choreographer. And how it goes for me is they said, well, you march drum corps, and is this something that you can do for us? And I was like, I have a music ed degree. Like, I don't have a dance degree, but I'll give it my best shot. And I really enjoyed doing it. It to me, like the movement with the music just comes really naturally. Fun fact, I love two-stepping. I love dancing, like country dancing. Um, and I've enjoyed the times that I've done like other classes. Kendall and I have done some classes and stuff like that. And I really like that, but I never thought that that would translate to band choreo. And so I did it for Vista Ridge the first year, 2018. That was my first time ever doing it. There were some moments in that. Want to give credit for Daniel Wiles and Richard Hinshaw that brought to life, but like the majority of the production was me as well as Reed. Reed and I worked really well that year. Of like Reed was the what, and I was the how. He'd be like, "We need this thing here," and I'd be like, "Okay," and I'd go home and I'd think about it and I'd work through stuff. I'd be like, "This is what it is." He'd be like, "Yes," and then we'd see it, and it was really good, like collaboration. Fast forward to the next year, Reed was program coordinating, so he just asked me if I could write for some of his schools. One of those was Rio Rancho in New Mexico, and so I think they were my like very first choreo client, if you will, and just started grinding. I mean, it's like anytime I wasn't teaching at Vista Ridge, I was doing choreo, and so year over year. It pretty much doubled. So I would just do more and more and say yes to all the gigs I could. Some of it was in person, some of it was video. Built my systems and processes, and it just grew from there.
I figured you dropped it like it was hot one day on the marching field, and that was like what sold it.
I probably did.
All right,
I
everyone, do
probably
it.
did.
Mr. Santos just did.
Well, we had that booty rock section in like the movement 3 of that 2018 show, and like that was totally just like on a whim. I was like, what if they just rock out? Like, what if we just do this? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. That's it. And I mean, it was like a fan favorite the whole season. So some of it was just like fun. Again, it goes back to like yeah, like you need choreo and you want to produce it, but like how can it be meaningful? How can it be fun for the kids? And I always like I record myself with my phone facing me, like the forward facing camera. So I'm like, if I feel awkward and like we're doing this, like the kids are definitely going to feel awkward and we're doing this. So I try to always be conscious of like, would I do this? Like, how do I feel doing this? And then, that's going to translate to how the kids feel doing it, especially when it comes to the music. like pairing those two together.
Well, and I think you also have to understand like the where the program is, and I'll say this about you that when we brought you on board to help us with the choreo, like you were very, we had a discussion about like, hey, this is very new for us, and like we've done like some forced arches and the good old fashioned knee pop, the alternating forced arch, and in, out, up, go. We all know
Classic.
it is class. But
It is.
but like I think finding somebody who's going to be very mindful of like where your starting point is. And I got to say, like, you were always very good about like, hey, these are the needs of our program. This is where we're at. Can you meet us here? And you're like, oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, no problem. Because you were always very, I don't think that you just putting out whatever was ever on your mind. I think it was always for you thinking about the success and achievement of the students, which I always appreciated about like having to work with you. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So you did the choreo thing, and then it started taking off and doing becoming its own monster in a lot of way, white monster. Uh, and so now you've kind of evolved. You got out of band directing partially because of how big this venture was becoming, and spending the time and energy in band directing and doing the choreo thing probably was starting to become overwhelming while trying to manage a marriage.
Yeah, I mean, I, I had never found the line yet, and I'm not going to say my timeline out loud. You know my timeline, but I'm a very much like timely is like one of my most important things. Just with anything, paperwork, emails, doing the work, like it's a huge part of who I am. And I never found that line of not being able to do it. But I think no, like we knew we wanted to have a kid someday, and Kendall loves her job and loves teaching, and so I think it was just time. It was a good time to make that switch, and it worked out. And in some ways, it's a different kind of impact. You know what I mean? I get to come in and be the crazy uncle, and the thing I miss is like I don't know all those kids' names, and I don't know them like deeper than hey, that's so and so the mellophone player. But if I can bring my energy or a different energy to an ensemble or to a rehearsal, and if I can if through my choreo or the energy that I'm bringing, the impact that I have there, maybe that kid, like that one kid out of 100, has that different impact to band and their different relationship with like, man, like that was awesome, like I really want to do that again. And I think we get that through multiple people, right? Like that's not just me, that's just anyone who touches the program. Maybe it's a lessons teacher or a band director or a clinician or a parent, right? Like a super involved parent that just like has a way of interacting with the kids. Like all of that combined helps the student experience. So if I can do that times thousands now versus my times 300, I think it's a different kind of impact, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean that's great. So you also do program coordination. um and from what everything I know, that you've been doing a fantastic job. That you're doing some program coordination for John Shriver at Cameron Yo, correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
love John.
And John has said nothing but wonderful things. He was like, man, Zach's on top of it. Emails, boom, 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 boom. So if you need a program coordinator, Zach Santos is the way to go. Which has kind of evolved into a new thing, which is something called the Band Blueprint, which just recently launched. Can you tell us about the Band Blueprint?
Yes, and I'll try to keep it succinct, but it was born out of a gap, I guess, in the space. So I did a ton of clinics last fall. I loved it. It was awesome, but I did find a max in that. Like there were some days where I was doing three, like an early morning, a mid morning, and then an afternoon, or an early morning, an afternoon, and then an evening. And it got to a point where I literally physically could not do any more traveling, any more clinics, anymore. I truly didn't have the time. And so I was like, man, people want this information, whether that's step out to mark time or that's choreo or that's flutter running, the visual aspect of the curriculum that's not taught in college, right? Like there is no visual class in college. So Zach Travis, who I do a lot of work with, we were like, well, what if I was like, I can't be in multiple places, but I can video myself and then I can be everywhere. And so we were like, what if we video everything we know about the visual aspect, put it into a curriculum? And so that's where it kind of started. Made an outline. We've got 13 chapters. We've got 142 videos total of curriculum, from posture to how you hold each instrument with like multiple variations. We've got choreo, marching exercises, drone footage, tower, all that. So like that was the inception, was just the virtual visual curriculum. Then we also started a scholarship this year called the Driven by Drum Corps. We ended up awarding 2 scholarships to participating drum corps members this year. That will now be hosted through the band Blueprint. So we have a donate portion, and then we have the actual application portion. And then we also added, I took some lesson plans, my year of lesson plans from Vista Ridge at 2023 for the marching season. I reformatted those, kind of cleaned it up, made it generic. So like if you subscribe on the website, you can get those for free. 75 pages of Google Docs of lessons plans. Then we have a music fundamentals packet, 28 exercises. And the coolest thing that we added along the way, and this is where I gathered information, I guess, from like outside non-band sources, was our weekly mastermind calls. So anyone who buys access to those calls, we're creating our own community within the band Blueprint, where on Sunday we'll have a 1-hour call and we talk about things that are specific to that time of the year. So for example, the first call is July 27th. What happens after July 27th? August 1st, drill, right? So a lot of the bullet points for that call are going to be, how are you setting up your drill learning process? What questions do you have about that? And that'll be live with anyone, their staff, their techs, whoever, adults are related to that program. They can hop on for that. And we have 15 of those. The last one will happen after the season, 2 weeks after the season. So it'll be like, what are you doing to set yourself up for next year? What are some pros? What are some cons? You had this happen this year. How are you going to address that next year? So the information aspect is cool, but the community aspect is really cool. The first people that actually bought the band Blueprint were from Fort Collins, Colorado, of all places. Like, it was not one of our friends from Texas. It was a band director in Fort Collins. So we're going to have obviously any size classification in Texas, but hopefully a lot of people across the United States that can share ideas and help everyone grow together.
Yeah. Banyap 5.
There you go. Use it. Use it.
Well, and that's something like we appreciate, because I think some of the discussions you and I had was like, we have a marching handbook that we use, and I used you as a reference in that, because I shared that document with you. I'm like, hey, can you look over this? And and you gave me some critiques and things that we changed on it, and we did. And I think that's something that a lot of people like miss, is like the streamlined communication and having a good reference for everything. And because I've talked about it on the podcast, I've had a few people ask me hey, can I see your marching handbook? And I'm always willing to share stuff, because, well, I mean, if you can do it better than me, great, fantastic. But if you can't, oh well, that's just, ask the questions, do the things. But like, that's a great resource to have, if you can, pay for it, do it. Because I know for us in our program, like, having you come out to work with our kids was great, but having videos and things where they could always view and kind of like get a hold of and have that resource really, really made them a little bit more accountable, actually made them a lot more accountable to the things that they needed to do.
Well, and again, like in college, right? You're like, you have your methods classes. If a flute sounds like this, here are the things you should do to fix that. But that doesn't happen for a plie. That doesn't happen for a 4-star. So it doesn't happen for flutter running. And so not only do we have examples of like, this is what it should look like, we have more like podcast style videos. They're called tips and tricks videos, where we actually talk through, Zach and I, and we're like, this is what you should like be looking for. You're gonna see this from your kids. Here's how you fix it, right? Troubleshooting and giving that. I would essentially call it like your visual methods class that you didn't get in college. And the second part of that is like, it's visual, right? So often we forget, okay, how do you fix your music? You record your ensemble, you listen back, you give feedback, you make fixes. With visual, how do you fix it? You need to look at it, right? So like you said, having a reference of what should it look like, not only for the teacher of like, what am I looking for, but for the students of, I need to look like that, or here's how I move between those things. That's why I think like recording yourself, getting in front of mirrors for visual, it's irreplaceable. If you're not seeing yourself perform the visual aspects, there's a big gap there.
Well, that's why like ballet dancers have mirrors in their facilities. That's why
Correct.
dancers like practice in those types of areas is
Yeah.
because like they need to have that visual like feedback because like what you don't know is what you don't know. That's also something like like battle with our kids consistently is that like I will, and I don't, stop me if you've ever had this, where you'll tell them like, "Hey, that doesn't sound good," and they're like, "It sounds fine to me." Like you're the perception of from the audience is completely different, and what's being heard out here versus what is being heard inside the ensemble.
Well, and they may not even know what good sounds like, right? Like we consume band, we go to professional concerts, we listen to professional music. They may not, right? Like they may be like, yeah, it sounds good to me. Like sounds better than last week. You know what I mean? So I think giving them that reference, the mirrors is like that's like the $1 million tip is then you have instant individual feedback times the reps that you're actually doing, right? So if you have 50 kids in front of a mirror, 50 reps, that's 50 times 50 feedback versus you as the band director trying to tell little Johnny to like fix his plie. You know what I mean?
What fix a plie? Honestly, the what's harder to fix is a chasse. Oh my goodness.
Look at you.
We had it. We did those. There's nothing like a 200. I'm not going to give the weight, but a very large Hispanic man trying to do a chasse on the top of the tower, and
It's
be like,
beautiful.
guys, your chasse is looking like this, and I'm just like, I'm not built that
That's
way
one of my.
anymore.
I've told you this. That's one of my favorite marching season memories.
Chasse.
Did you get a
Yeah,
video?
you know.
No, thank goodness.
Oh,
Yeah, no, but it wasn't even that. It was just it was giving like the Robin Williams scene in the birdcage where he's trying to explain like the Bob Fosse of it all. And Jose would just be on the mic and they would get to the part he'd be like, Jose
Have you
just go
watched the
crazy.
Birdcage?
no, sir, I have not. I'm
Oh
horrible at
no.
consuming media.
Okay, well,
It's from the
yeah,
90s,
it's from the
so
90s.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
It has Robin Williams. It has
Nathan Lane, Gene Hackman.
yeah. It's
that's a
funny.
that's a confession of mine, and Kendall will be the first to call me out for it. I cannot tell you, like, I don't know any actors' names. Like, she'll be like, so and so. I'll be like, who? Like, I'll see their face. I know their face, but I just like don't know who they are because I've only ever seen them like in the context of the movie. You know what I mean?
Oh, you
So I'm
don't
not
know who
like, oh,
Nathan Lane
that's
is?
no.
He's Timon, the voice of
Oh,
Timon from
okay,
Lion
yeah.
King.
See, it's like, yeah, I know. I mean, I know that voice, but I don't know. Like, I couldn't point him out in a lineup. You know what I mean?
Oh no. We found Zach's kryptonite apparently.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. And I know like music artists pretty well, but like actors,
Does anybody remember that song Kryptonite by Three Doors Down?
Yeah. I actually saw Three Doors
I
Down
was
in
waiting for you to sing
concert,
it.
Oh,
and
I
that
was
song
close.
was popular. They came to Waco.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kryptonite. That was a
You're gonna get
jam.
us copyrighted. Please stop.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that was a jam back in like the early 2000s. Do you have a
Yeah.
song or a band that you would really like to see in concert?
Zach Top.
Who?
Zach Top. He's an up and coming country artist. He's bringing back '90s country.
Bringing back 90s.
Ooh.
So for my mother-in-law's birthday / Mother's Day, because
Her
today's her
birthday's
birthday.
today, yeah.
Nice. Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
So and Mother's Day was just this past Sunday. Uh, I got her. This is gonna sound really weird. Randy Travis tickets.
Mm, great. I'm jealous.
Yeah, except that Randy Travis is not
He
singing
had
because
he had a stroke.
he had a stroke.
Yeah. How's
But
that going to go?
well, so they got one of the guys from The Voice to travel with his band, and so he's singing all of Randy Travis's songs with Randy Travis on stage with him.
I think Randy Travis can very minimally I don't know if he sings, but Randy Travis will be there and someone else is going to sing his music.
Big fan. Big fan of his songs.
Me
Oh
too.
yeah, same. Did you ever watch? No, even never mind. Black Dog.
No.
Black Dog. It's Patrick Swayze and Randy Travis as truck drivers.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I watched that movie in theater.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
Randy Travis is also in one of your favorite movie series. I guess mostly the movie.
Which one?
National Treasure.
Is he a National Treasure?
He's in, I believe, he kidnaps the president in the second one, right? He doesn't kidnap him, but he takes him to the beneath Mount Vernon.
I don't think that's Randy Travis.
It is Randy. If he's not the president, Jose, he's the country singer at the president's birthday party.
He is the singer at the. Okay,
I'm getting out of this high rise. Yeah, that's it. He's singing one of his actual.
I can't weigh in on this one.
Oh my goodness. Do you have a favorite Randy Travis song?
I like three wooden crosses.
That's a good one. Deeper than the holler.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
yeah,
is really good.
That is so good.
Of course, the classic "I'm Gonna Love You Forever."
Yeah, like classic. Yeah, no, there's some good ones.
Do you have a favorite country artist?
I mean, right now probably Zach Top. Probably Zach
Do you
Top.
have one?
I like Zach Top, and I like Rendell King.
I like old school like Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Like Thunder Rolls.
Gilbert Oloriega, he was my trumpet lessons teacher growing up, but one of our lessons teachers at Vista, he played with them at the Houston Rodeo last year. It was wild. He sent me a picture. I was like, that is sick. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite songs is probably "Paint Me a Birmingham." It's always a good one. I mean, you can't go wrong with Dolly.
Well, mine is the Judds.
No,
and then, of
the
course,
Judds are good.
King George.
Oh.
Can't beat him.
Yeah, I wanted to go to that concert he just did at Aggie at Kyle Field, but I was like, I can't.
Yeah, I don't
can't
want
do
to step
it.
on
Jose's
that.
brother.
He goes to a lot of. Who's the guy from Waco?
Wade Bowen.
Is it Wade Bowen?
Pat Green.
Pat Green.
I know some of Pat Green's stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he's from Waco.
No,
That's another one.
I love country music. I don't know. I guess it was just like growing up. It was always on the radio. It was either like, it was country music, family gatherings, country music. We were the large town family. So I know, like, some of the other episodes you talked about, like small school and all that stuff. Like our families are all from Florence, Seguin, Canepa, Uvalde, Del Rio, which some of those are bigger than others, right? But like we were the city family. We were the Round Rock. Yes, we were.
Well, like there were two things on the radio when I was growing up, especially with my dad, because he was a farmer. It was either Tejano music or it was country, which are very similar. You take away a slide guitar and you add an accordion and you're kind of there.
We every time we hit like San Marcos on the way to Uvalde, it would be Tejano, KXDN, Tejano and Proud, and we would listen to that radio station all the way from San Marcos to Uvalde, and they knew all the hits and everything. That's how my parents met, was Tejano dance, like country dance, or Tejano dancing. I don't know what the flavor of dancing is, but dancing to Tejano music.
Yeah. No, I mean you're right. I mean, it was just so weird, like a culture shock for me coming up to Central Texas, because like I went to quinceañeras every other weekend. And like the culture shift from South Texas and the coastal bend and the valley up to like Austin and above was just like very different.
Yeah. It's another world.
Yeah. As soon as you start seeing like mesquite trees like really be the main scenery, you have arrived in the Hispanic culture.
Yeah. Oh, I love it though, man. My favorite place in Texas right now is the Valley. Like, hands down. I love the food. I love the people. I love the culture. Like, I love that it has culture. You and I have talked about this, but I feel like Austin is just like tech now. It's just big buildings and tech. Unfortunately.
Well, and that's something that like I've talked to, like when we did our pod with Kim, is that like right now Austin's in this identity shift, which is like interesting because I remember it still being like keep Austin weird. And now it's all like I don't know if I mean, do they still do the Keep Austin Weird shirts? Is that a thing anymore?
Honestly, haven't really seen it that much. I mean, like Tyler's used to be one of the big stores that like would sell them, and like now they have like chains, but like Tyler's isn't even big anymore. So I don't know. I mean, South by Southwest is like, I mean, it used to be about local bands, right? Like now it's, parties for Lyft or Twitter or X, whatever it is. It's not about local. It's about bringing in these big companies and ACL. I mean, ACL has always been big, right? But it's just like such a hassle now, and I don't know. It it doesn't feel the same, and I feel like it was changing when I started at UT because that's when they started changing East Austin, gentrifying, if you will, East Austin. Now it's going to be cocktail lounges and condos versus some culture, some music venues and stuff like that.
I wish I listened to more Stevie Ray Vaughan. That's what I'm going to listen to work tomorrow. Is
There you
Stevie Ray Vaughan. They don't make them like that anymore.
go.
Is there one performance or award that means more to you than others?
I mean, I feel like there's categories for that. I guess performance, like formative performance was performing Maslanka 4 at Baylor Band Camp when I was a junior in high school. Like that was life changing. That's what made me want to become a music major. Um, as a band director, performance wise, I mean the 2018 finals was pretty special, like from just a pure performance standpoint, because they were so good at that point, like just like the level of execution. But I think like from an award standpoint, kind of going back to the Cody Foss stories, like I still say this. I think some of the fondest memories I have was like being successful with the sub non varsity B. It's like that's where like the grinding of the teaching happened. You know what I mean? It's like no, this button or this rhythm or this is that rhythm, right? Versus in with the second band, the Wind Symphony, it was like my job is to prepare you guys for Brian's band, for the Wind Ensemble. So the level of literature and expectation was just another world. But I feel like, if you want to talk about percentages, it was like 0 to 60%, maybe 0 to 70% was sub non varsity B. And then like 70 to 80 was A. And then 80 to 95 was second band. And then 95 to 100 was the Wind Ensemble. So those sub non varsity B awards, if you will, of like concert and sight reading UIL awards were always pretty cool. Seeing those kids feel accomplished and like how far they had actually come. You know what I mean? Like if you think change of when they started, handing out the music to that UIL performance versus maybe where the Wind Ensemble started and where they ended up at that performance, it's just pretty significant to see how far those kids come every year.
Yeah. So you do all this stuff and you're part of Sassy and you're doing the band thing. You're setting the world on fire. And then you still have to make time for a relationship. How did you and Kendall meet?
Uh, we knew about each other in drum corps. Like just through acquaintances or whatever, and so that was I guess like pre pre everything. And then she got hired at Cedar Park the same year I got hired at Vista, but at the time she was taken. And then at TMEA one year, I can't remember what year it was, but always around Valentine's Day, and she posted this like meme photo that she made of like she was wearing shoes on her hands, and then her shoes on her feet, and she like folded over and like made it look like she was on her tippy toes with like someone else's shoes, and it was like just kidding guys or something like that. Like it's me for Valentine's Day or something, and I saw that as my opportunity to, how could you be single on Valentine, blah 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 blah, and then the rest is history.
Oh, oh. So there seems to be a common theme of shoes in your relationship or just in your life there. Zach, can you tell us about how you got your shoes for your honeymoon?
Oh Lord. Oh, it is all. I will take ownership in that. I'm a last second packer. So let me just throw that out there. Like if I have a trip, I'm packing the morning of or the night before. That's just how I am. There's not a lot to think about. The shirt I'm wearing today is a $7 Target T-shirt. I've got like 6 of them in different colors. Like that's all I wear if I'm trying to look presentable. And then in the fall, it's long sleeve Columbia PFG shirts, right? So I don't have a big wardrobe to choose from in the first place. So that did set me up for success. And then my best man, had a great time at the wedding, and his job was to help, make sure, okay, we got the stuff, we're gonna get it to the hotel. Well, those shoes did not make it out of my truck. They were my Crocs, actually. We were talking about Crocs earlier.
Oh,
Um, my Crocs nor my Adidas did not make it from the truck into the hotel. And the shoes that I had on were, of course, my tuxedo shoes, my dress shoes, and they had to get returned because they were a rental. So I left those, took an Uber barefoot to a Walmart on our on the way to the airport to our flight to our honeymoon. And so I got some flip flops, not thinking through the activities we had planned, like zip lining or you know hiking. Those flip flops from Walmart, they zip lined through the Yunque National Forest. Like they were troopers. They made it. They had like it was they made it. We made it through the vacation, the
they were
honeymoon. It was
they were
fantastic.
beaten and battered.
Did you hike in
Yeah.
flip
Oh
flops?
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We hiked in the forest. We did zip lining. We like went to the beach. Yeah. Those Walmart flip flops. I still have them. Back patio right now. They're like my beater patio shoes.
Worth the money.
So, how do you balance? I mean, you've touched on this. So, like, what is the key for y'all to kind of balance things out? Is it just really the open communication and like really taking the moment of like going, hey, we're not going to do this. I'm not going to take this job because this is what's going to happen in our marriage.
I think in terms of like time, relationships take time, right? That's the key to all relationships. I think in that aspect, it's just being intentional with our time. So anytime I have an opportunity for a clinic or a sassy camp or things like that, it's always a hey, what does this look like for both of us, right? Is this a good time? Can we make this work? Understanding that life is busy, right? Like raising a kid is busy, work is busy. Being good at what you do takes time, and so I think that's a level of understanding that we have. And then with Sassy Camps, we've been lucky to teach some together. So we've told Jeremy like, hey man, if there's opportunities for two facilitators, depending on the size of the camp, we would love to teach these together. So that's an opportunity for us to teach together, spend time together purposefully. We try to plan vacations, every so often, as often as we can. We plan those date nights in the fall. That has helped a ton over the last like 3 seasons. So we're definitely going to keep doing that. Um, I mean, those are some like real, like actual ways that we do it. Teaching Sassy camps together, intentional date planning, vacations. But I think the harder part is just understanding that like at the end of the day, this is the life we chose, right? Like she is really good at her job, and being really good at this job takes time. And I think that's okay. Like I understand that, and she understands that. And I think for me, it's like sometimes I have to fly to a camp, sometimes I have to drive, sometimes I have to stay overnight. And that's like, again, that's the life that I chose. A lot of what I believe, like deep down, is that most things like we choose, we engage in ourselves. Um, and so I think as long as we have an understanding of that, then that's okay. But we got into it knowing that, right? Like we dated for 4 years, 5 years, both being band directors of like, this is the life, and I even before I even met Kendall, it was always in the back of my head of like, I really feel like I want to be with someone who gets it, who has lived it, because it's really hard to explain. And it works. Obviously, there's plenty of people out there, but to me, that was important to kind of have that thing to share with my spouse.
Who was your best man at your wedding?
Adam Aguirre. He was a great friend of mine from elementary school, all through middle. Then he went to football. I went to band, and then like life happened, and then we reconnected after COVID, and we spend. That's like my best friend. We spend a ton of time together now.
Yeah, I hear that you two like to get into shenanigans together. Can you tell us about the golf cart?
Which one? I mean, the golf cart.
Apparently, a golf cart ending up in your garage.
Oh, well, I mean, this is like total side story, but like I buy and sell stuff. I always have as a kid. I think that's like part of the business
This is what
aspect.
we call a hustle. We are
We
getting hustled.
hustle heart, baby. Well, in elementary school, I would buy and sell, or middle school, I'd buy and sell phones because, like, how like back in the day, you'd get a free upgrade every 2 years. You know what I mean? Like you would turn in your old phone, or like you wouldn't even have to turn it in. You would just, they're like, hey, here's your 2-year upgrade. Select your phone, like BlackBerry or like the slide phones. And so I'd see my friends at school with a new phone, and I'd be like, hey, where's your old phone? They'd be like, oh, it's at home. I was like, I'll give you $5, and then I would buy it for $5 and sell it on Craigslist and make money. Um, but nowadays, that's like golf carts. During COVID, I was doing it with boats. I'd buy boats and fix them up and take them on the lake and then sell them. And so with golf carts, that was my recent kick. And yeah, some days Kindle will just come home and there'll just be a golf cart in the garage. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But you never know. It's adventure, you know?
If we lived in New York, you'd be one of those street vendors, wouldn't you?
It's not a bad gig, man. Those hot dog guys have it figured out.
Like I could see you. One of my favorite cartoons, Disney, is Hercules. And I can imagine you as one of those the guy who goes like, "You want to buy a sundial?" Like one of those kind of guys. But that's
I mean, look, it's all, I did it with trumpets in high school. I like the idea. I like the idea of it. And a lot of times like fixing some things, like fixing the trumpets, fixing the boats, fixing the golf carts. I'm in my process of doing it with the house. Like that's the next goal. Like I haven't found one yet. My one of my buddies who I met at Allstate, who went to Baylor actually for trumpet, he owns a contracting company now, and that's one of our goals in the near future is to reno a house, flip a house.
I feel like you would be somebody like you're almost a little obsessive compulsive like I am. And so like if you ever got into like old like baseball cards, and you'd definitely be one of those guys at a show like haggling over a baseball card.
It would be horrific. Yeah. Yeah. It'd be really bad. It'd be really bad. I mean, but that's like with any of the, I mean, band, like I'm obsessive over band, right? But I think anyone who's really good at what they do at some level obsesses over it, right? Like whether they're a salesman or they are a CEO of a company that they built, like they have to be, right? I've heard it on a podcast recently of like, in order to be extraordinary, you have to be extraordinary, right? Like if you're just normal, if you put in the same amount of hours as everybody else and the same amount of effort, like you'll probably be the same as everybody else, right? In order to be different, you literally by definition have to do something different. And to me, like a lot of that comes in the amount of work, the amount of obsessiveness, I guess, over certain things that drive things forward.
So what do you do when you're not doing band things?
I like to, well, I love to work. Like, let me just put that out there. I love working. When I'm not working, the only like break from work, I love hunting, fishing, and I'm a bourbon hobbyist. So those are my three: hunting, fishing, and bourbon.
Yeah, I think
Can I
you and
say
I
that?
I mean, I'm here for it. Like, didn't you like you and I talked about this for a second, but like you're like, yeah, all the meat that we have in our house is stuff that I've hunted.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like probably the last 3 years. I mean, Kendall eats some of it, but yeah, I hardly ever buy meat from the grocery store. Obviously, like it's not necessarily out of necessity, it's just I enjoy that aspect. And to me, I think that's the, like it's not just for sport, right? Like it's, I'm hunting for sustenance, I'm hunting to cook, I enjoy trying new things. So if I hunt a new thing, I can try new recipes. And so I don't know, it's a part of that hunting hobby is cooking the meat, you know, and that I get from it.
Do you do any bow hunting?
No, not yet. I have a crossbow. I want to this coming year. That's on the list. But the problem with bow hunting is it, like, this is going to sound bad, I guess, but like it takes a lot of practice, right? Like to be comfortable and proficient in that skill, it takes hours of practice compared to other forms of hunting that may not take as much practice.
Well, it's just like, man, it takes hours of practice to become proficient.
Just like anything.
Exactly, right? Like, but I have not chosen to invest that time that it takes to feel comfortable. Brian, Christian, he can, and he has a traditional like recurve bow. It's super impressive. uh and I have some friends that use compound and stuff like that, but no, I have not gone into that rabbit hole yet.
So do you like spending time outdoors and doing that I grew up on the coast, so I spent a lot of time on a boat. doing that. And as a kid, who was probably ADHD, that was not a good situation for me.
Look, man, the outdoors, I don't know, that's something I hope to pass out onto my son, whether he wants to hunt or fish or not. Just like because Kendall loves the outdoors. She may not like the hunting or fishing side of it, but like we love going to national parks. We love hiking. We love just the outdoors. So that's a huge thing for us.
So, what is one of the other things that you're invested in, other than trying? You've mentioned it already, kind of, but I don't think everyone is aware of this. But you are also a real estate agent.
Yeah, so part of the learning stack, I guess, was like get all the degrees, like the business minor, the music major, the trumpet performance, and then like teach while teaching, build the choreo business, and then uh, got an MBA, and then on the way out, I love real estate, just like as a broad topic, and so I decided to get my real estate license, mainly for investing. So we've been fortunate enough to purchased a couple rental properties, manage those properties, help other people with real estate, and it's like another sub chapter, I guess, of my life and what I do.
So, man of many hats.
Yes, a lot of hats.
Yeah, you actually have a rental property in Gatesville, Texas.
I do, I do actually. What a
I was
small world.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, "What?"
I kind of drove by where I think it is the other day when I was leaving the band banquet. It's like over
Oh,
there somewhere,
yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, this is the street. I'm pretty sure."
Yeah, it's right off of Main Street, across from the HEB. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like really surprised. And I mean, Mike, he's renting, a house there in Gatesville. I think he would have really liked to go. Like, I'd rather rent from Zach.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome, man. No, I mean, I am all about. If I went back to the classroom, I would obviously like band would be an option, but if I could teach an elective on like financial literacy and money matters and stuff like that to students or adults at any point, like that is a huge passion of mine because I think it's probably the most valuable tool um, out there that just like people just don't learn, right? We're not taught it. So I'm really passionate about it. I love learning about it. I love that consuming it. That's one of those like podcasts that I listen to just like religiously is Bigger Pockets. Consume as much of that content as I can.
What is something you wish you could bring back?
Something I wish I could bring back is the intentionality and the appreciation that at least we experienced when we were allowed to do things during and post COVID. I just think that everything that we did as a band program, there were like 5 levels of why, right? Like, what is this for? How is this serving us and our students? How is this going to be implemented? And like, is it worth it? And obviously, like, there's levels to worth it, right? But I just think that everything in that moment, number one, was super intentional. But number two, like the appreciation of like, we get to make music together. Like we get to perform this show. We get to give a concert versus, especially right now, like it's so easy. And I'm never going to like, I'm not in the classroom right now. Right. So I'm not going to say, oh, like May's hard. Right. But like the May's hard. Like we get to this point and all these things and we're like, oh, we have another thing, this, that banquet, this. But it's like during COVID, it was like, oh my God, we get to be together. Like we get to celebrate the program. And 2 years later, I guess not 2 years later, 5 years later, whatever it is, so however much time has passed, it's like already back to, oh, all the things, and we have this, and we have that, and we have this. And that appreciation aspect so quickly went away from a lot of the things that we do in life. And again, would never want like the situation to happen again, but I think the appreciation that it brought about was super special
Mm-hmm.
and is gone. Like it's like, oh, we have this thing now. We have to do this. Like we don't have to do it. Like no one's forcing you to do a band banquet, but like a band banquet's awesome, right? Like that's a culmination of the year. I think it's super important.
Alexa, is there anything you would like to bring back?
We just talked about this. I did have an answer. I don't remember what it is.
Hastings.
We love Hastings.
You love Hastings. You know what
I
I wish we
miss
could bring back?
Hastings.
I wish we could bring back Pogs.
That's very specific.
Like
Pineapple,
plain
orange, guava.
pog.
Oh, I listened to a podcast about that. I'm sorry. That's like what it came from
Oh,
the
that's right.
juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah, that was from,
lids.
Stuff You Should Know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
but Pogs. Did you ever play Pogs?
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, so
It was
oh my
before
goodness,
Zach's
yeah. I
time.
mean, Pogs were these little discs that you would like stack, and you had these bigger like, and they're like little chips. And so little chips that you would stack, and like there's a point system, and you can take some of these Pogs, and you'd have a slammer, and like, which was a heavier pog that was like made out of like a acrylic or whatever, and then you would slam it onto the pogs, and how many pogs like fell into a certain zone were your pogs now.
I'm Googling them and seeing them right now. I've never seen those before. It's like
Yeah,
Beyblades, but
yeah,
like in a different
you just
way.
said
Yeah.
Beyblade.
I said pineapple orange guava. It's passion fruit orange
Yeah,
guava.
I know what you're
Should have
talking about.
known better.
Yeah,
What
I
else?
I really wish I could remember what we talked about because
yeah,
I
I
feel
can't
like it
remember
was
either.
something good.
Well, Sandy Lake,
Oh, we already
obviously.
know that. It's common knowledge. I wear my Sandy Lake hat around.
She did. She bought a hat from Sandy
I
Lake.
do. I have
Like, she
it.
found it on
I've never
eBay.
posted it on Instagram. I've never found the right
You
time.
got to rep. Yeah, you got to rep it.
I
Like,
bought a Sandy Lake Fun Fest hat, and it has the Wrangler logo and the Dr. Pepper logo, I believe, on it. But and a saxophone.
Yeah, I think that's right. Like, that's one thing I would bring back is like the feeling of like pogs, or the feeling and the joy of like fifth grade kickball.
dude, just join a kickball league.
I
Oh
know.
man,
You
is
could
there is
easily
there
do
is
that.
there like
Get in, start one in Gatesville, man.
You could also just like go ask to hop in on the PE class.
Oh, I don't want to hop in on the pin. They don't.
They
They
would
I'm
don't.
about to
love that.
pwn the.
Yeah,
I'm about to pwn these noobs.
yeah.
Exactly.
The problem with like that is that being around high school kids is that they don't always have the best hygiene.
Oh,
Mm.
yeah.
Oh man,
That was
dense.
like, okay, that we just took 2 trips this week. We took a junior high trip and we took a 6th grade band trip. And that is something that you can't explain until you live it because those children go and you meet them in the morning and by the afternoon they're different people.
They've lived a whole entire
And they've
life.
been marinating in their clothes and moving back and forth and like we're at a water park and then yeah, it's like they've been for 6th graders sake they've been running around bowling and
Yeah, well, and like sixth
Oh.
graders
that
are like
that bus
really
ride on the way home, man. Ugh.
sixth graders are like this whole entire like different breed because they're starting to have changes, and so
Mhm.
they haven't figured it out yet,
No.
and so
Well,
it's just
sometimes
like
they're in 9th grade and they haven't figured it
some
out
of the
yet.
times they're in seniors in high school and they still haven't
Yes.
figured it out.
I remember when I was with you guys last July, and you like wrapped up camp with that. You were like, "All right, remember, you got to have deodorant. You got to do this. You got to." I was like, "Nice, get
Yeah,
after
like it's
Yeah.
just like guys, like, ugh. And I say that, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what band program it is. You always have like, there's always
Oh
that
yeah,
situation. Like, ugh, and I
yeah.
can only imagine when you get to a band program that's like 250, 300 kids, and you're like,
There's just a stench, dude. It just lives in the band hall. Like, I mean, after that, after the uniforms come off for the first time and they're hanging on the rack, from then on, it's game over. Like, it's just like, okay, this is it.
like, I almost feel like you need to be like what a beekeeper. Like, you need to have that
With
full
the hood
bodysuit. Yeah,
on?
the hood and the smokes.
I mean, obviously, like the real MVPs are like parent volunteers, just like across the board, right? But like the uniform mom that has to live in the uniform room and like continue making adjustments. Oof. Shout out Miss Kaza and shout out Miss Chavez. Our uniform room was actually named after, like, there's a plaque that says the Maggie Chavez uniform room. She was absolutely amazing. So, real MVPs.
Did you know that ballet dancers and other people because I saw do you remember Mercedes from Blackstrad concert?
Yes.
Okay. I saw she posted a reel about this. But ballet dancers spray their costumes with vodka
Oh,
like
What?
when they're done performing
Why?
because
like
it
to neutralize the odors or what?
yep.
Huh.
Hmm.
So after they perform, like they cuz most of those costumes like you can't clean them. Or like
Yeah.
you
So
have
there you go. That's the trick.
They just carry around
Vodka's the trick.
spray bottles of vodka. Yep.
You're just like, hey, kid, come here.
How to get fired?
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's a trombone spray bottle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be someone's.
One for the
That'll
band
be
director,
someone's.
one for the uniform, one for the band director, one for the uniform.
That'll be someone's mistake when they come on the podcast, like in a
Yeah.
couple
my
years. They'll be like,
I
"What's the
sprayed
biggest
it with
mistake you've
vodka
ever made?" "Oh yeah, I sprayed a kid with vodka."
Yeah.
by accident.
Yeah. Out of the recommendation to the pod. Oh,
Yeah, sorry. Don't do that.
Yeah,
It's
don't-
a
Y'all
fun
need to
fact.
add. You'll need to add a disclaimer at the end of this thing.
Yes.
Did you ever watch Black Swan?
No. We've talked about this.
Have you never
Maybe
seen
not
Black
on the
Swan?
podcast.
No.
I've never seen Black Swan.
Oh man.
Like I'm really bad at consuming media. Like I just don't watch a lot of stuff. I don't know.
Do you have a guilty pleasure TV show now that you've said that you don't consume any media? Just throwing it out there.
Right now, so we watch the one thing that we watch like purposefully is The Last of Us. We watch it every Sunday. Kat and Kyle come over. Sometimes our other friends come over, but like we watch The Last of Us. We've watched it since the beginning every Sunday. But on Max, there's Righteous Gemstones,
Oh.
and I love that show. It is hilarious. Baby Billy, Uncle Baby Billy. Yeah. That is, I mean, like, that is 100% my like active guilty pleasure. Is like any second I can like sit down and watch TV. That's what goes on right now.
Man, that show is so unhinged.
That is a great show.
Well, so do you know about that church up in Dallas that was like suspending drummers from the skylight and all that kind of stuff? Do you ever hear about
They
that?
do it
I saw the
every year.
videos. Yeah.
Okay, so I went to school with the music minister there.
Dude, you go do a gig.
I was all like,
Get him to hook you up.
What are we doing? And first of all, I do not meet the weight requirement to be suspended from.
Can you imagine that with your sousaphone on? Just
no,
sousaphone, great.
Yeah, no.
You could do like a second line service.
That would be amazing.
I do like a good second line.
Sousaphone. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! How did Mr. Sanchez die? Well,
Did
he's
you
suspended
know?
from a church, ceiling.
From a church ceiling. So HBO Max. Now that we've brought it up, I've been dying to talk about this.
Have you heard about this?
I don't.
Okay.
Probably not. I don't know.
Oh my goodness!
So it was HBO, right? Originally OG HBO, and then it was HBO Go. Okay, and at some point, it's HBO Max, and Warner Brothers Discovery gets involved, and they rebrand it to Max. And now we're back. As of today, it's HBO Max again. They've rebranded, and now we're back to square four because there was like 4 iterations before that. But yeah, full circle back to
There you
HBO
go.
Max.
So, did you ever play any of the Last of Us video game?
Oh.
I did not know. And that's another thing that like I never. So I wanted to. I mean, I had a game system or whatever in high school, but my parents were very persistent on their like time limits, and so unfortunately, like we talked about earlier, like getting good at something takes time, and so with my constraints of time, it was like I'm never going to get good at this, and so I never really bought into. I didn't get good, so I didn't enjoy doing that thing. So I don't even now. I don't have a game system. I haven't played video games in forever.
So you weren't ready for that second episode of season 2, huh?
No.
Okay.
No.
Wow. I played the first game, and I've played almost all the second game, and I was not ready.
No, it was very intense. Very intense.
Yeah, not ready. Not ready. All right, so I got some quick fire questions for you.
All right, here we go.
All right, so you got to get them out as fast as you can.
It's so ironic that we call them quick fire questions because they're never quick.
No, because people were like,
People?
Yeah, well,
Are you looking in a mirror?
The magic of editing, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, we also go off
That's
topic.
not Jose just like is tangentially all over the place.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the joy of the yap.
I know.
All right, here we go. Menudo or pozole?
Menudo.
All right. Conchas or empanadas?
Empanadas.
Greatest country singer of all time.
For straight.
Is pineapple acceptable on pizza?
100%.
Toilet paper over or under?
Over.
Favorite stand tune?
Vehicle.
Worst stand tune?
Land of a Thousand Dances. Or the Hay song.
Oof.
Ooh. Who do you text the most?
Kindle.
What is your favorite store?
Bass Pro Shops. Lowe's.
Oh, Bass Pro Shop. Do you have a problem when you get near the outlets?
No. I mean, I go every time, but I don't have a problem, I guess.
Did Bass Pro Shops buy Cabela's?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm
Well-
super excited for Shields. Cedar Park is getting one.
Nice.
If you don't know what Shields is, it's like Bass Pro times a lot. Like they have a Ferris wheel inside the store.
My
You
goodness.
should go.
Yeah. It's
How do
going
you
to be
feel
amazing.
about Atwoods? Is Atwoods?
I've never been to Atwoods.
Atwoods is more like Tractor Supply adjacent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he likes the outdoors. So
Yeah.
he likes a country living.
Yeah, I think they sell like
They have
you can buy like
ducks.
chicks and ducks.
Yeah, they
and
have
stuff there,
ducks.
Yeah, if Kindle would let me. Bummer.
Eh. Favorite marching show of your career? Marched in or taught?
I mean, performed was probably 2017 Blue Devils. Taught was probably the 2018 Vista.
If someone played you in a movie, who would it be?
He doesn't know any of their names.
I don't know the actor's name, but the guy from Suits, Harvey Specter. Whoever that actor is.
Do you have a movie or show that you quote the most?
Nacho Libre. Stupid humor is my jam.
Okay. I was like,
Yeah.
Nacho Libre is like, there's that era of movies that is just like a little odd, and then like
It's the
Nacho's in
best.
there. Yeah. Nacho Libre's in there. Anchorman's in there.
Land of the Lost, Step Brothers.
Yep, those are all in there.
Blades of Glory.
Old school, all the Will Ferrell stuff.
Yeah.
Talladega Nights.
Yes.
Did you see that the alligator from Happy Gilmore died?
I know.
He was 80, I think.
Was he 80?
Yeah, he was old.
Wow.
His name was Morris.
Wow.
I'm the one derailing the questions today.
I know. I know. If you had a spy code name, what would it be?
The Trumpeter? I don't know. I have I guess I'll put the combo is weird, but I have a password that someone was needing while we were building the band blueprint for like authentication stuff, and it like was trumpet related. It was like very, very nerdy, and I was like, okay, don't judge me. And I had to like spell out the password. It was semi embarrassing for sure.
Well, a movie I really enjoy is Ready Player One.
You do enjoy that movie.
I do. And all I can like think of is that dude's password is like boss man. And it's like B055 man. Like that's what I think of when I hear what's your password? It's like that kind of stuff.
You really do like that movie. And there was it was like not this year, but last year TMEA, for whatever reason, when we were in our hotel room, and I guess it was on one of the streaming services, but every time we were in the hotel room, like you turned on that movie and we watched it like 3 times while we were in
I
TMEA.
think it's because of the nostalgia that
I don't know,
it gives
but
me.
that's I just associate it with TMEA, and that's weird. Those don't have anything to do with each other.
Well, okay, confession. I've watched it twice in the past week.
I know.
No.
I saw it on the TV.
Okay, you saw it on the TV, but I also watched it at work on Sunday.
Well, I'm not with you at that job. So.
Yeah, so I like that
can't
movie.
monitor.
It's just like, it's easy watching. It's good.
We need to find a different comfort movie because I'm tapped out on that. Sorry.
We watched. What did we watch the other day? When Harry Met Sally.
That was a good one. I like that.
We did that with Notting Hill. We watched that one.
You don't watch those as often as you watch Ready Player One,
so
they're more tolerable.
I don't know what to say.
I am excited for that phase of like childhood because I am not a big I'm not a big rewatcher of things. Like I don't like traveling to the same place. I don't like watching the same thing. I just like consuming new. But Kendall and I are both super excited about going back, watching all the old Disney movies and things like that that we watched growing up, and sharing that with Ryder. We're super excited for that.
That's been like one of those cool things. Like, so have you watched any of the Bluey stuff yet?
No,
Okay, be prepared. Be prepared. Bluey will break you.
I've heard it hits. Like it hits hard.
Oh yeah,
Does.
it's good stuff. Like we're a Bluey household. Like sleepy time. Uh, when Ryder gets a little bit older, like around a year and a half,
Probably two-ish.
two ish,
Two
that's when
plus.
things will start like hitting a little bit different. Like we made the mistake, and I don't know if I've ever said this, but like after we had the twins, we watched Juno.
Yeah. Why did we do
I
that?
don't know. We watched Juno, and it was just like it just hits different.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Bluey, great use of music, great, just all that kind of stuff.
It is nice to go back and like rewatch everything, but kids also get so hung up on they find something they like and then they go through the phase and like that's their whole identity. And it's just like, can we please watch something else? And then they watch something else and you're like, oh my gosh, I miss it. Let's go back to that. But it's like, do you remember when Jonah was obsessed with cars?
Yes.
I'm sure every boy goes through this, but it was Lightning McQueen for like at least a year, like constantly like Lightning McQueen this, Lightning McQueen that, and then he just one day was like over it, and he consumed something else. But and now we haven't watched Cars in however long.
I'm okay with not watching Cars for a
Yeah,
hot second.
but it's just like they go through phases and then
Yeah.
they move on.
Well, I feel
Just
like adults are sometimes the same. It's like
Yeah,
I'm in a fitness kick, or I'm in a meal
yeah,
prepping kick, or I'm in a
yeah,
this kick. It's like I don't know.
yeah.
doesn't Kendall like meal prep like crazy?
So we both meal prep, but she counts the macros. Like I don't. I just eat what I want. Like I cook and I eat. But she is very diligent and purposeful about like counting macros and that side of the fitness thing.
Are there any like arrangers, sound designers, choreo people you like to shout out?
Here's obviously want to shout out Zach Travis. We do a lot of shows together. Who else?
Zach Santos.
No, I don't. I definitely don't arrange. It's weird. I don't know why. Like, I fell in love with band for the music aspect, right? Like for playing my instrument, and I still love playing my instrument. But for whatever reason, I've never been interested in the arranging side of things. Like I've never done it. I've never just like picked up music score or finale. Like I've never even tried really, to be honest. Where I had a bunch of friends like, oh, I arranged this brass quintet or whatever. Just not something that I happen to engage in. But yeah, Zach Travis is great. Brandon Smith has been awesome to work with. Um, as far as sound goes, Seth Lampert, we've been doing a lot of work with him, and Cole Williams has been great. Um, Choreo, my buddy, it's funny. Like, so I work with Zach Travis, and then me, Zach, and then Zach Worley. Um, we marched together at Blue Devils, and he's been getting in the game for choreo recently. So he's been awesome. And then for drill, Jake Hilly, he's over at Salina High School. He's been fantastic with drill writing. So, and I mean, Zach's great at drill writing too, but just different categories.
Yeah. Like it's so interesting because some people fit better into different niches. It's just like Luke McMillan, like his small school, like 3A and below, like his stuff is specifically designed to them, and it works out great. I mean, the product has been, I mean, what it is, the proof's in the pudding.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
The proof is in the pudding.
I have no idea, but I just had a realization. Every time we ask, what would you bring back? No one has ever said finale. Not one person. Uh,
I'm gonna look up proof in the pudding.
I
I
feel
mean, I
like
would assume it'd be like some kind of like,
I was gonna say it
cooking
has to be
thing.
like
Like
English in origin, like from the UK.
Oh, the proof of the pudding it originates. The only way to truly know if something is good or effective is to test it, try it, or experience it firsthand.
What is that?
literally, you could say that about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did it come from?
The proof is in the taste. The proof is in the effort. The proof is in the work.
Oh, it's because it means you can only judge the quality of a pudding by actually eating it.
It's fair. What's your favorite kind of pudding?
Tapioca.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that.
Oh,
I think
Is like a consistency? Like what's
yeah,
the
and I don't even mind. Like, I don't mind boba and stuff like that. It's just like in a pudding.
texture?
I don't know. Yeah, well, like the texture of what I expect from a pudding, I guess. You know what I mean? Like chocolate pudding versus like cream pudding versus like banana pudding. Those are all very different than
Or figgy
tapioca pudding.
I was gonna say banana pudding.
But I do like a good.
You do have like a thing though for tapioca.
I don't know why. I
That's-
like tapioca.
that can be
pudding.
divisive. That's a
I like-
divisive statement.
I mean,
I don't mind tapioca at all. It's just in a pudding, like it's almost like a different category, you know?
Some people are like against tapioca, but those are the people, they probably don't like boba or anything either. It's like
Yeah.
texture.
Yeah.
I do like boba.
I like boba too. We haven't had boba in a while.
Yeah,
I know.
Bubba's good.
I know. What's your favorite pie?
Con.
Okay,
Yes.
that is. I feel like that is the only correct
I still want to
answer.
know Zach's favorite pudding. What is your favorite
What is your
pudding?
favorite pudding?
Banana.
Okay, good.
Okay. Have you heard how I've been
Oh my gosh,
traumatized
we've
by
already
banana pudding?
talked about this on the podcast.
Oh.
How?
Yeah, she's gonna cut this out.
No,
We've already talked about it.
Yeah, I mean we've
No
talked
use
about it,
in
but
rehashing.
yeah. Well, no, it is definitely because you fed me death pudding. We
Death
used to
pudding?
have a beta fish, and the moral of the story is the beta fish died, and Alexa used the fish tank.
It's a decorative bowl. It's not
The
a
fi-
fish.
It was a
tank.
fish tank. She used the
No.
fish tank to outfit the pudding.
As Jose would say, fish grave.
Yeah, that's a little savage.
Yeah, I was all like,
This was like years after the fact.
and I am scarred. I recognize that.
No, it wasn't like the
as
fish
death pudding.
died
No,
and then I made a pudding
no,
to
ma'am,
commemorate
no.
the fish.
There was a soul had been extinguished in that bowl.
That's not
Soul
how this
pudding.
works.
Yeah, I'm just like, are you going to sleep in the same bed as somebody that died in it? If somebody died in a bed, would you sleep in that same
The
bed?
bed of a fish is the water that it.
No,
lived in.
no, ma'am. That's why some people are like, somebody died in this house. Nope, not staying
That's
here.
what I thought about. I was like, yeah, people like want to know, if someone
Yeah.
died in the house.
Yeah, as a realtor, he would know that.
So Zach, the real question that everyone is waiting for.
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone.
I think that by everyone you mean you and I.
Yes, yes. Is there a Dairy Queen where you live?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We got options. We got Mayfield and we got the
Ooh.
Plain.
Haven't had a Mayfield Dairy Queen pop up in a while.
I actually had a student that their family owned a Dairy Queen, like in our area.
Wow. What's your Dairy Queen order?
Jalitos burger.
Oh.
Yeah. The Jalitos burger with fries. And if I get a McFlurry, oh my God.
Oh my God. First of all, nobody ever gets a McFlurry because they're always broken.
I tried to get a Dairy Queen and the ice cream was broken. I've told you that.
That's weird.
A mint Oreo Blizzard, just standard.
Yeah. Okay.
That sounds
that's respectable. Respectable right there.
That's a good order.
Yeah. Oh, did you see that whole entire thing? Like, because the Pope is now American.
Mm-hmm.
How somebody was making memes about like the white smoke coming up from like the McDonald's because they had officially had the ice cream machine was working.
Yes.
I saw that one. I saw the Popeyes one.
I've seen some barbecue ones.
Yep. Is there a superior chicken sandwich?
I'm not a big sandwich guy. I am a huge fried chicken guy. Like I worked at Bush's Chicken for 4 years, all through high school, and then I worked at Cane's during college part time. And I, to this day, still love both of those places. I know most people are like, "Oh, I hate it. I can't eat it." But yeah, fried chicken is my jam, just not in a sandwich.
Wow,
Huh.
you're really in the chicken business.
Oh,
I love fried chicken.
I can't do Cane's.
I can't do Cane's either.
I do think it is it's not the top because it relies on the sauce.
Yep.
So what do you think the top is?
I feel like it's different, but for me, like on the bone chicken, probably Church's.
Oh,
Church's on the bone chicken. But I think part of that is because of the biscuit. Like I
Sure.
love their biscuits. And then like Popeye's spicy chicken would be fantastic, but the service is sometimes,
Subpar.
subpar. So that's a bummer. But then like Bush's is great for the spicy serendipity seasoning. So there's levels
Serendipity.
to this,
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
last time we got Bushes, Jose forgot to get the
I
serendipity.
know.
You got to keep it in.
out.
You got to keep it in your car, man.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like
like a
keep a
that's
stack of that.
uh, uh,
I think I've had one too many catered Canes meals for like marching band because I can't.
I just
Can't.
don't like canes. Like I
Well, it's
really
also
don't like
not
to cook
super
'em.
great when it's delivered. Like
Oh
it gets all
yeah, it
soggy
gets
and yeah.
very soggy.
Like you kind of have to eat canes in store for
Uh-huh.
it to be good. Golden Chick is also phenomenal for on the bone chicken, especially like and their spicy
Man,
tenders.
you're dropping some sleepers.
There's this like kind of like by where we live, there's this maybe half-mile section of road that people call like the chicken highway. Because in this section of road, there is a Bush's, a Cane's, a Golden Chick, a KFC, and they're building a Popeyes. Did I miss
I need
any?
to go.
Did I miss any of them? I know.
I mean, if
They're just
you like,
missing
well,
like a
there's also
Chick-fil-A and a Church's.
Chicken
maybe.
Salad Chick,
Oh, yep, that's there too.
which is a chicken salad place.
Yeah. So this is all
Nah, too healthy.
in a
Mm.
half mile. The chicken highway.
The best fried chicken, though, I can't even believe I almost forgot. Babe's Fried Chicken. It's in the Dallas area. It's a chain up there. It's a family-owned chain. I loved it so much. I was like, "Could you guys like do you franchise?" They're like, "Yes," and I was like, "Well, yes, within the family." And I was like, "Could we get one in Liberty Hill or Leander?" And they're like, "No, like we keep it, semi-local, but like there's one in Carrollton, and some of the other like quote unquote smaller towns in the DFW area." And it's awesome because they only have like two things on the menu, maybe three. I think it's like, do you want a whole chicken, a half chicken, tenders, or catfish? And like all the sides just like come with it. Like they just bring them out family style. Yeah, it's delicious too.
I don't know what movie it's from, but there's a scene that I've seen that is like an old waitress asking two police officers what you don't want.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it's from. Have you ever seen that?
No.
But I'll watch, like, she's all like, what you don't want.
They're like in a diner.
Yeah. And she's like, either you don't want this or you don't want that. And they're like, well, can I? But and she goes, no, you're going to have the steak, medium rare. I would like, wait, I said medium rare. What's his name?
It's not Tommy Lee Jones, is it?
No, it's the guy who plays Jedediah he's in True Grit.
Jeff Bridges?
Jeff Bridges. Is Jeff Bridges.
There you go.
If I can figure out what it is.
I don't know what it is, but I know I enjoy that scene.
I think it is from Hell or High Water.
That's probably it.
Mm.
Jeff Bridges plays the Texas Ranger.
Yep, that sounds about right. So, well, I think that's all I got.
That was a lot there at the end.
Yeah.
Well, Zach, do you have anything else?
No, thank you guys for having me on. Keep doing what you're doing. I've enjoyed listening to the podcasts, and it's awesome. It's really fun to listen to. So thanks for having me, and thanks for doing the podcast.
Thank you. Well, I don't think I have anything else.
I think I'm good.
All right. So thanks for listening to Band Yap. We'll see you next time. Bye.
We out.
Don't forget, FanPledge is changing the game for band fundraising. Shawn Murphy can help you ditch the product sales and still bring in record-breaking support for your program. And with the 10% guarantee, there's zero risk. Give Shawn a call at 903-948-7348 to get started. One more time, 903-948-7348. FanPledge, fundraising that actually works.